Chapter 899. Ruo Yu Pavilion. Lin Feng stepped into it. Instantly, the heart of light resonated with him. This was the temporary residence of Light Man, the former residence of General Ryu. There were light engravings everywhere, turning the entire Ryu Pavilion into a perfect place for cultivation. The perception of light here was rather outstanding, and to martial artists who cultivated the path of light, it was like a paradise. No wonder Captain could step into the second path of light in battle. Lin Feng realized cultivating here was much more effective than cultivating in the spirit spring of light in Drumhammer, Heavenly Realm. He had cultivated for a long time in Thousand Blades Lightning, and Captain had also cultivated for a long time in Ruo Yu Pavilion. Clang! A fighting spirit suddenly erupted. Lin Feng stopped and looked not far away. He saw Captain Lightman's eyes were bright. A layer of faint white light flashed around his body. The light heart on his forehead shone. Their eyes met. There was no need to say anything. Their actions spoke for themselves. Bang! Lin Feng's light heart also lit up. Light flashed in his hand. Slaying Demon gave off a loud clang. Not far away, Lightman's lips curled into a smile. In an instant, Xiao! The two figures collided like two shooting stars. It was a long-awaited battle. For Lin Feng and Lightman, it had an extraordinary meaning. This was the third battle between the two. More accurately, it was the third time. I lost. Lightman lowered his arms. The light heart on his forehead dimmed. The first time I saw you, I had a feeling that you would surpass me one day. But I didn't expect it to be so fast. Lightman sighed. He thought the first time he saw Lin Feng. Strictly speaking, it wasn't even a battle. It was just a battle of guidance. In the second battle, it was a draw. But in reality, he had hidden part of his strength. If he used all his strength, it wouldn't be a problem to defeat Lin Feng. But this time, he used 120% of his strength. He was truly forced to the limit. Thank you for letting me win. Lin Feng put away his blade and stood. Haha. Lightman laughed heartily and quickly calmed himself down. Just as I guessed, Ah Feng, your current strength is indeed above mine. This time they were fighting side by side. The relationship between the two of them had improved, and the way they addressed each other became much more intimate. Lin Feng teased, why don't we treat this as a ranking match? In your dreams. Lightman looked at Lin Feng with eyes that were filled with determination and unwillingness to admit defeat. There's still 20 days left. I won't give up so easily. Lin Feng smiled and nodded. We have never officially fought before. Sparring and fighting were two different things. One was to display their strengths, while the other was to give it their all. A true battle was not only about the level of strength, but also about many other aspects, especially the three aspects of spirit, or in mind. Sparring didn't mean fighting. Yes. Lightman sighed and looked at Lin Feng. Actually, I'm very curious. Offing, why do you have so much light origin? Is it a super heaven-grade holy treasure, or your bloodline? It can be considered a bloodline. Lin Feng muttered. His light heart was originally normal, but it changed when he entered the black hole whirlpool. Strictly speaking, it was indeed a part of his bloodline. Lightman nodded with some envy in his eyes. I've heard of some special bloodlines. They can open up a space in the body and store more origin energy. Some of the cells in the body can even integrate origin energy. There are also the legendary subperfect bloodlines that are even more powerful. Although Lightman had an ultimate bloodline, he could be called one of the best in the Glory 7 Alliance. But compared to the geniuses of the entire Nirvana world, the ultimate ordinary bloodline wasn't really at the top of the pyramid. Especially the 5 races of Tion Mo, they even had the legendary subperfect bloodline. For example, this year's Ji Xinling was one of them. Windborn Body, ultimate limit bloodline. It can only store a little more light origin. It's nothing. Lin Feng said, what determines the power of the light origin isn't the quantity, but the comprehension of the great Tao. It can't compare to a grand Nirvana expert, but among the Nirvana experts, often, you can definitely be counted on one hand. You can rely on speed to suppress them, erupting with strength and using the abundant light origin to exhaust the opponent. This move is too powerful. Light Man still had some lingering fear. It's just enough to deal with A.O. Peng. This move is useless against the other experts in the ranking competition. Lin Feng said, for example, Lei Huiya's strength is higher than mine. Ji Xinling's speed isn't below mine. Kue Do, his defense is watertight, and so on. The other martial artists know my methods and will naturally prepare holy treasures, defensive types, control types, and so on. At most, this move can only be used to win by surprise. Lin Feng smiled. It was impossible to defeat them all in one move. The elite geniuses that entered the ranking competition were either rich or noble. They would definitely be fully prepared. That's true. Light Man nodded. He suddenly remembered. That's right. Often. Did you need something from me? Lin Feng lightly nodded. You want to borrow a room? Light Man guessed. No, I came to make a deal. Lin Feng took out his special military medal. I want to use this to exchange for your four-cornered origin light crystal. Light Man was startled. Your five-cornered origin light crystal? I used it. Lin Feng didn't hide it. Light Man looked at Lin Feng and instantly understood. His brows furrowed. You wouldn't use it to absorb the energy of heaven and earth, would you? Lin Feng smiled. The captain was indeed the captain. His guess was very accurate. Light Man smiled bitterly and shook his head. You know how rare an origin light crystal is. You actually used it like a holy fruit. This is too wasteful. If I don't use it now, I'll have to wait until after the Grand Nirvana. If I drag it out too long, Lin Feng said, although it's a bit wasteful, it's not a loss to turn it into combat strength. At least it can help me improve in the ranking competition. That's true. Light Man could understand. So you asked me to exchange for the four-cornered origin light crystal for this? Light Man's expression was strange. Although he understood Lin Feng's actions, he still couldn't accept it. It was like using a holy fruit to fill one's stomach when one was hungry. Lin Feng replied. Light Man smiled bitterly, but he was still natural and unrestrained. He took out the four-cornered origin light crystal. Take it. Lin Feng reached out to take it. The origin light crystal flashed with a bright light. Its light source was extremely abundant. However, Light Man didn't accept his special military medal. Lin Feng looked at Light Man in confusion. Captain Yu, the four-cornered origin light crystal is only half the value of the special military medal. I can't take it. Light Man smiled. Although I don't approve of your actions, everyone has their own choices. I believe that you have a reason for everything you do. Let me lend you this four-cornered origin light crystal. I'm still very far away from the Grand Nirvana anyways. It won't be too late to return it to me when you enter the 10,000 years old stage and enter the 6 great danger zones. Remember to calculate the interest. Light Man joked. Lin Feng looked at Captain Light Man. His heart was filled with warmth. Thank you, Captain. You're welcome. Light Man smiled. Chapter 900. The four-cornered origin source light crystal was very important to Lin Feng. It could be said that whether he could achieve better results in the ranking competition depended on it. Therefore, even if he had to pay a special military medal, it was worth it. Although it was not as good as the five-cornered origin source light crystal from before, the light contained within was enough for him to break through from the 9th level of the Sage Realm to the Nirvana Realm. There was a rule in the first elimination round of the 12 Alliance competition that once one became an honorary commander, one had to withdraw from the ranking competition. However, there was no such rule in the ranking competition. Often, many participants would be stuck in the ranking competition to improve their battle strength and break through to the Nirvana Realm, making a huge leap in their strength. Lin Feng also planned to do so. However, even if he did not sleep and cultivate for 20 days, it would take at least a month to enter the Nirvana Realm. However, with the four-cornered origin source light crystal, it was completely different. One is enough for me to break through. Lin Feng walked towards 1,000 Knives Thunderbolt. Entering the Nirvana Realm will not only increase one's battle strength, but more importantly, life rating. An increase in life rating would increase a martial artist's strength in all aspects, including the body, senses, origin points, etc. The biggest connection was bloodline. The Nirvana Realm was the period when most of the bloodline awakened. If I want to break through in a short time, the second bloodline awakening is the most important. Lin Feng nodded secretly. He knew his own situation. After eating and digesting a large amount of bloodline holy fruits, his body was already on the verge of transformation. He only needed one last step. From the sage realm to the nirvana realm was the most crucial step. Success or failure depended on this. Fight! Lin Feng's will was firm. His self-cultivation was very clear. Glory Alliance. Pa! Pa! Lei Huiya's muscles moved and his bones changed. Lei Huiya's entire body was covered with overflowing lightning. His purple-brown hair gave off a lofty and unyielding aura. His cross-legged figure gave off an indescribably powerful aura. Endless lightning interweaved and converged. The lightning seal on his forehead flashed, and Lei Huiya's eyes fiercely shined. Huh! 2 streaks of lightning burst out from his hands. They were like 2 spirals that shot straight into the sky. What was strange was that even though they both had the same origin of lightning, the 2 streaks of lightning had completely different auras. In that instant, Lei Huiya clasped his hands together. The lightning seal's heavy pressure seeped in. The 2 streaks of lightning merged into one. Bang! Bang! The terrifying power mutated and merged into a dazzling lightning that enveloped the entire cultivation room. Congratulations, young master. The white-browed old man, who was dressed as a servant, had a hint of excitement in his eyes. His strength was fleeting, and the thunder and fire came and went as he wished. His breathing gradually became long and calm. The light of the thunder stamp on his forehead gradually dimmed. Standing up, Lei Huiya's resolute face revealed a faint smile. What do you think, Old Hu? The wrinkled eyelids of the white-browed old man, Old Hu, trembled slightly and tears fell from his eyes. Young master, you have such an achievement. The spirit of the old master in the underworld must be very pleased. Father, Lei Huiya's eyes were blurred and filled with nostalgia. When Master was young Master's age, he had just entered the Saint Ascension stage. Old Hu had a kind look on his face. Now, young Master has not only entered the Nirvana stage, but also comprehended 3 types of great Tao of lightning. He has even merged 2 of them. His battle prowess is comparable to that of a breaking life stage expert. There is hope for the Lei family to rise again. There is hope for the Lei family to rise again. Old Hu was so excited that tears streamed down his face. Lei Huiya stood with his head held high. His tiger-like eyes sparkled. Father, Lai will definitely revive the Lei family's prestige. Glory's second alliance, Flying G clan. Inside a spacious cultivation room, 2 figures intertwined. The bald man, who was 2 meters tall, was like a majestic mountain. Every time he punched, a gale would blow and tear the space apart. A beautiful woman wearing a swallow-tailed, long robe dodged like a wind spirit. Her movements were erratic. Her speed was extremely fast, and her movements were extremely ghostly. Her body was soft as if it had no bones. She continuously dodged the bald man's attacks. If one looked carefully, the beautiful woman would explode with power every time she dodged. Her control over her strength was extremely precise. She was Ji Xinling, the favorite to win the ranking competition. Not enough, father. Ji Xinling's soft voice rang out. The bald man, Ji Zhong, grinned. All right, be careful. As soon as he finished speaking, a gale blew. The entire arena shook as if there was an earthquake. Ji Zhong's terrifying and powerful strength was released. Ji Xinling was going all out. However, she was like a butterfly in a garden. No matter how hard she flapped her wings, she could not escape from the center of the storm. After a long time, the father and daughter ended their cultivation. Haha, what stimulated my precious daughter? Ji Zhong laughed. His eyes were filled with love. Father, Ji Xinling pouted. Have you forgotten that I am participating in the ranking competition? Ji Zhong suddenly realized. He scratched the back of his head. It is just a ranking competition. Do you need to be so serious? Even if you win, it is nothing. I don't want to lose. Ji Xinling bit her lips. Especially, I don't want to lose to her. Ji Zhong looked at his daughter and suddenly smiled. Your character is so similar to your mother's. Do you need any help from your father? Yes. Ji Xinling nodded. Her beautiful eyes flashed. There are many powerful cultivators in this ranking competition. Lei Hulia of the One League, Kuei Do of the Hunling race, and Gong Sun Jin who obtained the Heaven Grade cultivation. Lin Feng's figure flashed in her mind. Ji Xinling said softly, I have thought about it. If I want to win, the most stable way is the second bloodline awakening. Ji Zhong frowned. Xinling, you should know that the subperfect bloodline is the most ancient and noble bloodline in the Dark Silence planet. It is not easy to awaken it. Even if you reach the Nirvana realm, you will not be able to trigger the second bloodline awakening. Ji Xinling pursed her lips. That is why I need your help. Ji Zhong looked at Ji Xinling with love. After a long time, he nodded. All right, I will try my best, but I cannot guarantee success. Thank you, father. Ji Xinling happily hugged Ji Zhong. Silly daughter. Qi Ti, Yin Yue Chuan, Lei Kuanglao, all the powerful cultivators who made it to the ranking competition were working hard. This was not only related to the rewards of the Road of Glory. It was also related to the dignity of the martial artists and the reputation of the 5 races. Different from the elimination competition, the ranking competition's format was simple and violent. Battle. One battle every 3 days. It would take an entire month. Every martial artist had to go through a total of 9 battles to determine the final ranking. No one wanted to lose, especially the martial artists who were ranked at the bottom. They had to make full use of the last 20 days. For example, Guang Man and Lin Feng. Whoosh, whoosh. Endless light shrouded Lin Feng. The 4 origin light crystals in front of him dimmed by half. At this moment, Lin Feng's forehead was full. It was like a balloon filled with qi. Not even one bit of energy could penetrate it. In less than 2 days, Lin Feng absorbed the light core at a speed 20 times faster than normal. He had reached the peak of the Saint Realm. He was about to break through. Chapter 901. Crack, crack. The Tai Nether Source Point cracked gently, and the saturation of energy caused it to transform. The mysterious power hidden in the center of the Tai Nether Source Point was like a lively fluorescent light, bringing out the purest energy of the Tai Nether Source Point and flowing into the meridians, blood, bones, and limbs. Perfect strengthening. The first step to increasing one's strength was to transform one's body and change one's physical quality. This was the most basic change. The body was like a container, and there was a limit to what it could withstand. Just like a water bag and a water basin, there was a difference in their endurance. A water basin made of wood and a water basin made of diamond had a big difference in their endurance. The human body had infinite potential. Just like the human brain, it had infinite wisdom. Hiss, feeling his whole body, accompanied by slight pain, Lin Feng clearly knew that his body was changing. The stronger the source point, the more extreme the strengthening of the body, and the higher the strength level, the higher the increase. Marrow cleansing, changing one's body. This was the transformation of the life level, a process towards perfection. The cells of the body seemed to be guided, changing again and again, digging out the bloodline memory hidden in the deepest part of the cells, removing the chaotic changes of the bloodline gene generation after generation, and returning to the beginning. Endless energy poured in, and Lin Feng's heart was calm. For him, this was a change that he had expected, and what he was waiting for was the change that he hoped for. While in the long process, his body was like a vacuum cleaner, absorbing a large amount of energy, and even the true dragon source point benefited, and in a short time, it had been promoted to the second level of the Saint Realm. The starting point was low, so the improvement was naturally large. Here it comes. Lin Feng guarded the altar. At this time, the first pulse map was moving, the second pulse map was rotating, and the third pulse map was rotating like a gear. The rotation this time was completely different from before, as if there were countless warriors pushing it together. The third pulse map's gear was grinding bit by bit, like a key slowly opening a door. Collapse! Collapse! Lin Feng felt the whirlpool black hole, the powerful and mysterious power. The terrifying suction force brought him into the whirlpool black hole, that mysterious and deep space. No longer was there endless darkness, there was also the existence of light. The light core that was 20 times stronger was like a resplendent star that was suspended in the inner world. There was only one thing. Roar! A shocking roar resounded. The entire space of the black hole violently shook. The sky shook and the earth trembled. The terrifying power penetrated straight to the heart. Lin Feng fiercely opened his eyes. A red light flashed. The giant that had appeared before once again appeared before his eyes. It was a resolute figure with a head of straight black hair. They were dressed in golden armor that resembled divine soldiers and divine generals, looking mighty and unparalleled. He held the saber with one hand, and there were golden veins on his arm. They were very similar to the veins on his whirlpool body, but they were 10,000 times more complicated. Divine runes. The blood-red blade seemed to have drunk the blood of countless demons and ghosts. The black-haired giant gave him a very intimate feeling. His gaze was completely attracted to him. However, he could only see the domineering figure standing proudly in the sky. He could not see the giant's face. Dong! 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 The sound of drums was deafening. 5-colored auspicious clouds descended from the sky, and streaks of golden light transformed into shooting stars, descending like a stairway to heaven. Countless divine soldiers and divine generals arrived. The streaks of golden light were like zip lines. There were more than 10,000 of them, and each of them was a human expert covered in armor. Each of them had combat strength that far exceeded their own. It was frightening. They passed through the golden zip lines and descended into the sky. Such experts, more than 1,000,000. Roar! A domineering aura instantly erupted with the black-haired giant's roar. Terrifying energy erupted from the black-haired giant's body, and the earth shook. Endless white light lit up the sky. The black-haired giant raised the blood-red saber high. Streaks of dazzling light turned into spirals and rapidly descended, forming a strange inverted triangle that covered the entire sky. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. The black-haired giant roared with a dazzling light. In an instant, the blood-red saber streaked across the sky. Accompanied by a monstrous light source, it blasted out a shocking attack that seemed to split the sky. The blood-red saber expanded 1,000 times. The black-haired giant's killing intent was boundless. 1 against 1,000,000, fearless. Lin Feng's eyes were covered by a white light. It was as if he had fallen from the sky. His head shook violently. Instantly, his mind became clear, and he regained his senses. The scene just now came and went quickly. It was like a dream, but it was unforgettable. Especially the black-haired giant's figure. It was impossible to forget. The memory was too deep. Returning to reality, his body underwent a huge change. The light that had gathered outside the black-haired giant's body was absorbed by him. Streaks of intense light energy surged into his body, strangely changing every part of his body. Arcs of golden lines appeared on every part of his skin again. They were like ancient marks, more than 10 times more complicated than the first bloodline awakening. The divine patterns were remodeled. This was the mark of a bloodline awakening. Each divine pattern was unique and represented the bloodline of the first generation of gods. Lin Feng's eyes flashed. Everything has a root. The human bloodline cannot be born out of thin air. It is passed down from generation to generation. From the first generation of humans to the second generation of humans, and then to the third generation of humans, the bloodline has never been cut off. It has only been diluted bit by bit. Lin Feng understood. After coming to the Nirvana world, he had read some ancient books, especially about the second bloodline awakening. He had read and studied in depth. What he was sure of was that the image in his mind was most likely real. On planet Nemo, this was called ancient memory. It is said that when one's bloodline reaches the ultimate level, they will experience the ancient memory phenomenon. Lin Feng thought. The so-called grade of bloodline was very simple. It was the strength of the ancient bloodline in the body. The stronger the bloodline, the higher the grade. On the other hand, the higher the grade, the stronger the ancient bloodline. It was not strange for the ancient memory phenomenon to occur. There are different kinds of ancient memory. When one's bloodline reaches the ultimate level, the ancient memory will appear blurry and stop for a moment. Lin Feng thought back. Before his second bloodline awakening, he had seen this indomitable black-haired giant roaring in the most primitive world. But he could not see the figure, not even the armor he was wearing. When one's bloodline reaches the ultimate level, the ancient memory will become clear and basically visible. It will stay for 1 to 3 seconds. When one's bloodline reaches the ultimate level, the ancient memory will become clear and completely visible. It will stay for 3 to 10 seconds. Lin Feng thought. There was no difference in how clear the ancient memory image was. It was hard to determine the standard, but the time it stayed was certain. 10 seconds? Lin Feng shook his head. At least it was there just now. 30 seconds. Chapter 902. His bloodline was changing. The divine runes that appeared were 10 times more complicated than the first. Although they could not be compared to the black-haired giant in the ancient records, Lin Feng could feel their power. The original 3 layers of the whirlpool body had turned into 9 layers. The thin ripples were not only bright, but also tough. The whirlpool body took a big step forward. The other part of his bloodline was also slowly awakening. Endless light energy gathered. Lin Feng seemed to see a black-haired giant holding a saber and drawing the purest light energy in the world to attach to his battle body. His power was unparalleled in this world. Is this a battle-type bloodline eruption? Lin Feng was looking forward to it. He had fought with many experts with such bloodlines. Some had an instantaneous eruption, while others had a stable battle strength. They all had a common characteristic. As long as their bloodline erupted, they would be able to display battle strength higher than their own. But there was also a weakness. The bloodline eruption could not be sustained for long. His body was immersed in the transformation of his bloodline. It was also a transformation of life, far surpassing the transformation of one's strength. Oh! Lin Feng could clearly feel that his body's cells had become stronger and more resilient. Every cell seemed to have a spirit of its own. The distance between him and the world was constantly shrinking, and his communication with the world had become incomparably clear. Now, my aptitude and talent are not inferior to theirs. Lin Feng was full of confidence. Compared to the others in the ranking competition, his ability to sense profound intent and communicate with heaven and earth was inferior. In the end, it was because of his bloodline. The bloodline he had awakened the first time was only ordinary. Naturally, it could not be compared to their ultimate bloodline. But now, his bloodline had reached the ultimate limit. Ranking competition. Lin Feng's eyes were bright. He was looking forward to it. There were gains and losses. The bloodline awakening brought Lin Feng great benefits, but it also brought a side effect. A long wait, just like eating the holy fruit, required digestion. This far exceeded the second bloodline awakening of the holy fruit. It required a long time for the body to adapt and change. Lin Feng remembered clearly. The first time he awakened his bloodline, it took him a full half a month. But now, only more, not less. Lin Feng was helpless. He couldn't rush it, so he could only slowly wait. He naturally wouldn't lose the big picture for a small gain and cause a change in his bloodline awakening for the ranking competition. After all, the importance of bloodline awakening was undeniable. It was enough to be called a milestone in the cultivation of martial artists. Crossing the second bloodline awakening was equivalent to crossing half of the great nirvana. Lin Feng hummed softly. Endless heaven and earth energy flowed into his body along with his bloodline and strengthened the newly born Tai Nether Source and True Dragon Source. Lin Feng's eyes were like torches. He looked directly at the deepest part of the Thousand Knife Lightning. The 4 absolutes of the Thousand Knife art carved on the metal wall entered his eyes, and his mind focused. The saber moves were too powerful. Therefore, He was unable to truly reflect the essence of the saber move in his mind. Only the current comprehension was the best. Lin Feng was immersed in it. The time he spent cultivating passed by very quickly. The qualifier on the first day of December was approaching. All the participants were rubbing their palms in anticipation, waiting for the start of the ranking competition to strive for a good ranking. Like Lei Huolai, experts like Ji Xinling, Kuei Do, and Gong Sunjin all had clear goals. Champion. For them, it was not just for the reward of being champion, but more for the glory. Lin Feng has not come out of seclusion, the White Ram Army leader said with a frown. The first qualifier will start tomorrow. I have found him twice, Light Male said. He should be at a crucial point in his cultivation. The White Ram Army leader nodded. Let him be. I believe he knows what he is doing. Pausing, the White Ram Army leader looked at Light Male. How are the preparations? Not bad. Light Male smiled. Oh. The White Ram Army leader narrowed his eyes. It seems you have gained quite a bit in these 20 days. It is all thanks to Offing, Light Male said. Light Guy said, if I hadn't sparred with him and learned from my shame, I think I wouldn't have improved so much. Learn from shame? The White Ram Army leader stilled slightly. He said in shock, you lost to Lin Feng? Light Male nodded and did not hide it. He is stronger than me. The White Ram Army leader took a deep breath. Staring at Light Male, he still could not believe it. Then what about now? Light Male smiled confidently. Now, I am probably on par with him. Glory, Alliance 7. Outside the Glory world, there are many people. The Ace Army, the Elite Army. The Glory world was so crowded that not even a drop of water could trickle through. It could be said that 99% of the Ace Army and the Elite Army had arrived, temporarily putting aside their cultivation and missions. Every soldier's face was filled with excitement. It hasn't started yet? It should be about time. Soon, right? Everyone waited anxiously. They had not watched the qualifier of the 12 Alliance tournament for decades, because no one from the 7 Alliance had advanced. But this year was different. More than one person from the 7 Alliance had advanced. Instead, there were 2 martial artists. Naturally, they were qualified to watch the battle. Hey, we will be able to see Brother Lin show his prowess soon, Yi Xia said excitedly. Yes, I'm looking forward to it, Snow Chaser said. Don't be happy too early. The opponents in the qualifier are not simple. Captain's strength may only be below average. Wu Daozi remained objective and calm. So, Lin Feng is very eager to enter the qualifier. Shi Manzi knew Lin Feng very well. She smiled charmingly. He becomes stronger when he meets strong opponents. He is good at improving himself in battle. I estimate his results in the qualifier will be around 5 wins and 4 losses, around 5th place. Wu Daozi laughed. I bet Captain will win 4 and lose 5. Total victory, Yi Xia shouted. Shi Manzi and Wu Daozi could not help but laugh. Hua, the ice crystal's sacred realm opened. Everyone from the 7 Alliance rushed to enter, as if they were afraid that they would be too late. The Chaos team slowly entered with the crowd. At this time, 5 arenas appeared on the 5 huge ice crystals. Clearly, the first 5 qualifier rounds started at the same time. I wonder who Lord Lin Feng and Lord Light Male's first opponent will be. It doesn't matter who it is. Every martial artist will meet them sooner or later. It's best if both of them win and get off to a good start. That's right. Let's fight for our 7 Alliance and beat down the Miracle Garden martial artists who look down on us. Haha, how could it be that easy? The soldiers were all in a good mood. They hadn't watched a qualifier in several decades, so their hearts were filled with excitement. They hoped that Light Male and Lin Feng could represent the 7 Alliance in the qualifier, sweeping away all obstacles. After a while, the soldiers all sat down and the 5 arenas lit up. It's beginning. It's here. The soldiers all felt their blood boil as they stared at the giant ice crystals. There was a suffocating silence as the atmosphere froze. Chapter 903. Is that Lei Huoya? Ji Xinling is so pretty, but she's so delicate. Is she really that strong? That's nothing. Look at Shi Yun from the 3 Alliances. She's an inch smaller than Ji Xinling. She's a super expert in close combat. Everyone was in heated discussion. They already knew who the top 10 contestants were. Their alliance of 7 had 2 contestants, so it was impossible for them to not know the identity and strength of their opponents. As the contestants entered their line of sight, Lightman also appeared. 5th arena. He's here. Look, it's Lord Lightman. So handsome. Hey, who's Lord Lightman's opponent? Everyone was looking forward to it. Seeing the contestants appear one after another, the other 4 arenas were filled in an instant. Only Lightman was in the arena where he was alone. Everyone's eyes were like torches, and they quickly discovered the only one who had not arrived. At the same time, it was also Lightman's first opponent. Lord Lin Feng. No way. The first battle is a fight between our alliance of 7. Unlucky. Complaints rose from the crowd. The Chaos team was also helpless. They hoped that Lin Feng and Lightman would fight as late as possible. However, there was nothing they could do about the competition schedule. Fortunately, the ranking competition was held in the Glory World. There wouldn't be any heavy injuries. There were 3 days to rest between each battle. It was enough time to recover. Boom! As everyone in the arenas arrived, the first round of the ranking competition began. The heavenly lightning and earthly fire could be said to be extreme. Every pair was an expert with tyrannical strength. It was extremely exciting. Only what's going on? Why isn't Brother Lin here? What happened? Not only were the Chaos team shocked, but the alliance of 7 was also puzzled. The White Ram army leader and Yinho Junju were also stunned. Although Lin Feng and Lightman were from the same sect, the ranking competition was a battle of personal reputation. Lin Feng had no reason to give up. Let him fight. Yinho Junju looked at the White Ram army leader. Shouldn't be. Their private relationship is one thing. The ranking competition is another, the White Ram army leader said. Then what's going on? Yinho Junju frowned. The White Ram Legion's chief frowned. I'm not sure about the specifics. Thousand Knives Lightning. The first round of the qualifier should have already begun, Lin Feng said calmly, not minding it too much. To him, entering the qualifying round was the most important thing. It was to be able to fight with opponents who were on par with him or stronger than him. The path of glory was secondary. Now that he had awakened his bloodline and was unable to move, he had no other choice. It was not the fault of war. It doesn't matter if we have 1 or 2 less matches. Lin Feng smiled. The most important thing was that his second bloodline awakening could proceed smoothly. After 18 days of bloodline fusion, the vitality of his cells increased greatly, and the gene level of his body transformed perfectly. The divine patterns on his skin were gradually reflected as his bloodline awakened. It was as if every stroke was carefully drawn, revealing the noble bloodline in his body. It wasn't over yet. Soon, Lin Feng understood. The second bloodline awakening that had lasted for more than half a month was about to come to an end. His life level was undergoing a tremendous transformation. Glory, sacred domain. Lei Hulia and Ji Xinling both won, young Master Jinyu said. Both of them are very strong. They deserve their victories. Li Lang nodded. Yes, Kuei-do also won. Only him. The eyes of the 3 warlords all fell on duel field number 3. At this moment, the white-robed youth, Gong Sun Jin's lips were white, and his hands were constantly changing. He controlled the puppet beasts to attack crazily. Surrounded by the super beasts was a red-haired scarred youth. His red hair fluttered in the wind, the symbol of the Scarlet Sun clan. Chi-Ti of the Scarlet Billow Squad. Chi-Ti was very experienced as he walked among the super beasts. He didn't attack and only moved around. His agile movement technique and strange sword moves were impossible to defend against. He wasn't in a hurry to attack. Instead, he was constantly exhausting Gong Sun Jin's strength, causing him to be anxious. He has too little battle experience. Madame Ying's gaze never left Gong Sun Jin. This was the martial artist she focused on observing. Young Master Jinyu nodded. He is clearly stronger than Chi-Ti, but he doesn't have the upper hand. Battle doesn't only depend on strength. Li Lang said, this is even better. We can see where Gong Sun Jin's limit is. Chi-Ti versus Gong Sun Jin. The battle in Arena 3 was undoubtedly the most exciting and interesting of the first round. Gong Sun-jin, who had performed outstandingly in the elimination round and wanted to shock the world, encountered his first problem. Chi-Ti, who was very experienced in battle, knew how to avoid the enemy with his strength and attack with his weakness. Many pairs of eyes stared at the battle. The battle between the two gradually reached a climax. Blades clashed. Soon he lost. Madame Ing frowned. The result of the battle was unexpected. Gong Sun-jin, who she had high hopes for, had suffered a crushing defeat in the first round. He had lost to Chi-Ti, who was expected to be ranked 6th. This was quite an upset. It should be known that Gong Sun-jin was expected to be ranked 3rd, just below Lei Huoye and Ji Xinling. It proved once again that there were no weaklings in the ranking competition. Pity, young Master Jianyu said. He was too impatient and fell for Chi-Ti's trap. Nothing is too deceitful in war. Chi-Ti has the most battle experience out of the 10. He follows Scarlet Billow team everywhere. His battle strength cannot be ignored. Li Lang's eyes were full of praise. Maybe he will become a dark horse in this ranking competition. And Madame Ing looked at Gong Sun-jin's lonely figure. Accepting a disciple was not easy. It had to be evaluated from many aspects. Potential and strength were the key, but attitude, personality, and intelligence were also important. Martial Uncle wouldn't be interested in Chi-Ti, right? Young Master Jianyu said. Li Lang's lips curled up. A pair of lightning earrings supported his resolute face. This child is not of the Scarlet Sun clan's bloodline, but he grows like wild grass. He has a tenacious personality. Looking at him is like looking at my past self. Talent can be changed, but personality and mentality are hard to change. As for bloodline, he has the blood of the Scarlet Sun clan in him. He will not be weak. Madame Ing and young Master Jianyu nodded. Right. Who won Arena 5? Madame Ing asked. Light Man, young Master Jianyu said. Madame Ing sneered. The predicted 9th place Light Man? Which one did he win? Lin Feng. Li Lang's lightning eyes sparkled. He lost without a fight. Strange, young Master Jianyu said. Logically speaking, he and Light Man's strength should be about the same. Li Lang said. He should have given up the fight. He could maintain his condition and prepare for the next round. He could also avoid a fight with Light Man and strive for a better ranking. Because of this concern, I arranged these two from Alliance 7 to fight in the first round. I didn't expect them. Shaking his head, Li Lang's eyes were full of disappointment. As a warlord, he hoped to see exciting battles. Every martial artist would break through their limits for victory and not for the current situation. I look down on such martial artists. Li Lang said indifferently. Chapter 904. With the start of the ranking competition, there were many topics of discussion in the Glory's sacred domain. One was naturally the most exciting battle of the first round. Chi-Ti had defeated Gong Sun-jin, who was predicted to be 3rd, which was unexpected by most people. The second was Lin Feng giving up on the competition, which caused quite a stir. There were even voices of canceling Lin Feng's results in the sacred domain. The ranking competition was a competition of a cultivator's true strength. Forget it, it's just a competition. That's right, one is predicted to be 9th, and the other is predicted to be 10th. I don't believe they can create that much waves. How can they compare to our Miracle Garden's cultivators? Just based on their little tricks, they're too childish. Let's see how they lose next round. The Miracle Garden's cultivators were very proud. They were born into nobility, so their eyes were naturally high. They looked down on the cultivators of the other guilds and were very xenophobic. White Ram Building. Have you found Lin Feng? The White Ram Army Lord asked. The Light Man nodded. He is still in closed-door cultivation. With my understanding of him, I believe it is not like what the outside world says. Then what is it? The White Ram Army Lord asked. Perhaps he is at a critical moment in his cultivation. Perhaps he is lost in comprehending the thousand-blade art. Or perhaps he has an epiphany? The Light Man said, no matter what, I believe that Offing will not deliberately give up because there are hundreds of disadvantages to him. The White Ram Army Lord thought for a bit. Actually, the result is not bad. You two can fight less and save your energy. In 3 days, You can fight your next opponent in 100% condition. The next round has been announced. The light man's eyes lit up. The White Ram Army Lord nodded. Your opponent is the Clear Sky Clan's Lei Kuangji. He lost to Ji Xinling in the first battle. For someone as proud as him, whether it is his confidence or will, it will be a big hit. The second round is very advantageous for you. The light man revealed a confident smile. Even if he is in his normal state, I have confidence in winning. Isn't it good to have a weaker opponent? The White Ram Army Lord asked. Naturally, it's good. The light man said with a smile. 1 round in 3 days. The second round of matches had been announced. One of the matches that attracted everyone's attention was the match between Lei Huolia and Kuei Do. One was predicted to be first, and the other was predicted to be fourth. It was just a prediction because the strength of the top 5 was actually about the same. The other match was slightly inferior, but it was also a complete victory. It was Shi Yun against Qi Ti. It was predicted that the confrontation between the 5th and 6th ranks would be straightforward. However, after Qi Ti's Dark Horse performance in the last round, no one dared to underestimate this low-key Scarlet Sun clansman. Although Shi Yun was the champion of the 3 alliance preliminaries, her performance was lukewarm and her strength was not as strong as Gong Sun Jin's. Red Pheasant will definitely win. I think so too. Shi Yun is so weak. How can she defeat Qi Ti in close combat? That's right, even Gong Sun Jin, who was ranked 3rd in the prediction, lost. I only hope that Qi Yin will be merciful to the fairer sex and not injure the little beauties of our 3 alliances. We're the 2 from the Alliance of 7. It is predicted that the 9th-ranked Light Man will face off against the Zhao Tian clan's Lei Kuangao. The last-ranked Lin Feng will face off against Gong Sun Jin. Time passed day by day. No one knew that minute changes were taking place on the Thousand Saber Lightning every day. A total of 21 days had passed, and it was an extremely long time. Lin Feng waited patiently for 21 days. The second bloodline awakening was finally over. He stood up. Swoosh! Divine patterns flashed and appeared like tie-dye. 9 layers of vortexes condensed on his body, each layer more condensed than the last. The power contained was boundless, as if it was the most powerful energy in the world. Lin Feng closed his eyes and tried to comprehend. He could clearly sense the existence of the whirlpool. It was different from before. Hiss, hiss, at this time, the vortex was no longer absorbing the energy of the world. Instead, it was absorbing the source of the world. It was like a filter in his body, perfectly filtering the source of the world. The light heart shone, constantly absorbing the source of light from the vortex and converting it into pure energy to improve the Tai Nether source. Previously, when he was cultivating, even the drum hammer, heavenly realm, absorbed the energy of the world. But now it was completely different. It's not just the light heart. Lin Feng could clearly sense the existence of a firm self in his mind. It was formless and colorless, as if it was accompanying the soul of a talent. It was nurturing a golden dragon that soared into the sky. It was his own self-cultivation. The shining self-cultivation. It had the same absorption ability as the light heart. The difference was that the self-cultivation's absorption was much lower, while the light heart's absorption speed was terrifying. 20 times the light heart drove the vortex body to absorb 20 times faster. The improvement of the soul of a talent will soon reach another level. Lin Feng was very clear. After 21 days of cultivation and absorption, his true dragon star had reached the 3rd level of the Saint Realm and was not far from the 4th level of the Saint Realm. The Tai Nether star had successfully reached the 2nd level of the Nirvana stage, even if he had never really cultivated it. This was the effect of the new vortex body. It was just one of the effects. The comprehension of the vortex, profound meaning. Profound meanings of the vortex appeared in Lin Feng's mind. Not only did he have a deeper understanding of the new vortex profound meaning, but his understanding of the previous vortex profound meaning was also incomparably clear, as though he had been enlightened in an instant. The previous vortex body, I could comprehend the intermediate profound meaning, but the advanced profound meaning was difficult. As for the top profound meaning and the perfect profound meaning, the difference is even greater. But now, Lin Feng pursed his lips tightly. The new vortex profound meaning appeared in his mind, and almost instantly, it was as if a lock had been cut open, and he comprehended it in his heart. The speed was so fast that even Lin Feng himself was shocked. This is the top profound meaning. Lin Feng sighed in his heart. When he first awakened his bloodline, reading the top profound meaning was like reading a heavenly book, but now, he could easily understand the secret. He believed that with the perfect profound meaning in front of him, he could also comprehend it if he spent some time. A new bloodline, a new level of life. Everything was starting from the beginning. Light. Not only did Lin Feng's mind shine brightly, but at this moment, the divine patterns condensed, and countless light sources appeared, gathering in his body. It was as dense as the divine patterns in the ancient memory, and he instantly understood the control of light like the back of his hand. It felt completely different. Bang! His heart shook fiercely, and Lin Feng instantly lost control of his mind. His entire body seemed to be in a trance, and his soul seeped out of his body. In front of him was endless light, a long and majestic path of light that entered the boundless sky, a majestic world. The resplendent light illuminated the sky, sprinkling down and gathering in the sea of stars. A boundless ocean, a bottomless sea, endless light. It was full of divine power, unattainable. Beams of light shot out at an exaggerated speed, as if they were connecting the two ends of the world, shooting into the sea of stars in joy. The endless sea of stars had many waves. The origin of light was an existence beyond imagination, so close yet so far that it could not be touched. This was a sea of stars formed by the convergence of light, the power of heaven. In front of it, humans were so insignificant. Chapter 905. The Origin Sea. Also known as the Origin Sea, the Origin Sea. Legend had it that it was the source of all the energy in the universe, including the light origin sea, the darkness origin sea, the wind origin sea, and so on. Gaining the recognition of the light origin sea and forming the light core came from the origin sea. However, Lin Feng had never heard of a Nirvana stage martial artist being able to connect to the origin sea. Although it was theoretically possible to gain the recognition of the light origin sea, but only martial artists who have passed the Grand Nirvana stage can sense the origin sea. Lin Feng knew very well. In a world of consciousness, he could clearly see this boundless sea of light origin. In front of it, he was as insignificant as a grain of sand or a speck of dust. Even an inch of land in the sea of light origin contained an astonishing amount of light origin. What should he do? It is recorded in the ancient books that after passing the Grand Nirvana stage and sensing the origin sea, one can cultivate. But how do I cultivate? Lin Feng was somewhat confused. Happiness came too suddenly, so suddenly that he did not know what to do. Being able to sense the origin sea meant that he could cultivate, improve his light core, and increase his strength. But the problem was he did not know what to do or how to cultivate. Especially, was it appropriate to cultivate now? Captain once mentioned that because the origin sea is too strong, once the light core transforms and breaks through to the next level, the body will not be able to withstand it, and will be devoured by the light core energy, exploding and dying. Lin Feng thought that Captain Guangnan's words were not unreasonable. There was a possibility of spoiling things through excessive enthusiasm. There are some things that one would rather believe to be true than not. It's not too late to cultivate after asking clearly. Lin Feng did not act rashly. Moreover, he did not know how to cultivate. However, it was undoubtedly a good thing to be able to sense the origin sea in advance. He returned to consciousness. Phew, Lin Feng exhaled softly and stood up. At this time, the divine patterns on his body had disappeared, and the flashing light around him had also disappeared. His perception of light weakened a little. He calmed his mind and no longer had any special feelings, including the connection to the origin sea. Ha! He opened his eyes. Lin Feng's eyes sparkled. After the second bloodline awakening, his whirlpool body had changed greatly, especially the uniqueness of the light. By concentrating on the divine inscriptions, I was able to unleash the body of light. A transformation took place. Lin Feng thought to himself, the body of light is the same as the whirlpool body in that it doesn't have a single form. Instead, it has various uses. In terms of cultivation, it can enhance one's sensitivity to light, and it can even be linked to the light origin ocean. Increase your control over light, and unleash an even stronger light origin. If we treat it as a battle-type bloodline, it's not the instantaneous explosive type, but the long-lasting navigational type. Not bad. Lin Feng smiled. Standing up, Qin Wentian's eyes shone with a brilliant light. In an instant, the divine inscriptions on his body ignited, and incomparably complex runic lines appeared. Qin Wentian's entire body glowed with a resplendent light as the intense sensation of light returned to him once more. Lin Feng's hands suddenly condensed the light source, and his power erupted extremely quickly. It's very easy to control two light essences. Furthermore, the origin source energy is doubled. With a bit of practice, the effect will be even better. He had sufficient light origins, and in a one-on-one battle, he would have a great advantage. Strong power, precise control, and quick release. The improvement of details could directly cause his battle strength to soar to a whole new level. Let's call it the whirlpool body of light. Lin Feng was very satisfied. December 4th. The second round of the qualifiers continued in the Glory World. Lei Huya, Ji Xinling, Shi Yun, Kuei Do, all the experts were rubbing their hands together. They hoped to continue their undefeated record. Their ambitions were higher than the sky. Although Gong Sun Jin, who had suffered a crushing defeat in the first round, had not fully recovered, he was already facing the most serious situation. He wanted to take first place. Then, he had to win all the remaining 8 matches. My luck is still good. Gong Sun Jin seized the time to adjust his breathing. In the Glory World, only the degree of injury would be reduced, but it did not mean that he would not be injured. Especially for sacred power cultivators, their battle strength recovered slowly, and their physiques were weak. This type of battle was very disadvantageous for them. The second opponent is a little-known kid from the Alliance of Seven. He is predicted to be ranked last, so he will forfeit the first round. Gong Sun Jin did not take Lin Feng seriously at all. If he could not even beat the one who was predicted to be ranked last, how could he compete for the championship? I'll borrow him to rest. After 3 days of rest, I should be able to recover more than 90% of my battle strength. Then I'll have confidence against Shi Yun. His opponent in the third round was Shi Yun. In his current state, the possibility of losing was probably more than 60%, but as long as he could recover to 90% of his battle strength, he was confident that he could defeat Shi Yun. Damn Chi Ti. Gong Sun Jin gritted his teeth. Even now, he was still deeply resentful of losing to Chi Ti. Glory World of 7. After 3 days, the soldiers who had been waiting for a long time swarmed in. The second round of battles was about to begin. Light Man against Lei Quanggao, Lin Feng against Gong Sun Jin. There would be no more internal strife. For the people of the Alliance of Seven, this was the real show because the two had not fought in the first round. I wonder if Lord Lightman can win. It's a bit difficult. Lord Lightman is predicted to be ranked 9th, while Lei Quanggao is ranked 7th. Plus, he comes from the Zhao Tian race. Not only does he have a good bloodline, but he also has rich resources. In my opinion, it's a 40% chance. Lord Lightman has a 40% chance. As long as Lord Lightman wins this battle, his final ranking will probably jump to 7th. Everyone discussed animatedly. They were looking forward to it. At this moment, the first cultivator had appeared on the 5-sided ice crystals. As Chi Ti entered, Lei Quanglao, Shi Yun, and Yin Yuelan appeared one after another. A suffocating atmosphere filled the air until Guangnan appeared. Everyone cheered loudly, cheering for Guangnan. He and Lei Quanggao were on the 4th battlefield. Lei Huya, Kuei Do, Gong Sun Jin, entered one after another. In the blink of an eye, 9 figures appeared on the 5 battlefields. Only Lin Feng was missing again. Where is Lin Feng? Is he not coming again? Is he giving up? The people of the Alliance of Seven were anxious and confused. The people of the Chaos team were also frowning. They did not know what had happened. Why did Lin Feng not appear? Even the White Ram Army leader, Yinho Junju, who was watching the battle now, had a cold expression. He pursed his lips tightly and could not let go, until the 5th battlefield shone brightly. A figure appeared and instantly filled the entire area like a puzzle. The people of the glory world of 7 burst into thunderous cheers. The people of the Chaos team heaved a sigh of relief. They finally relaxed when they saw that familiar face. With a faintly discernible smile, his aura was completely different. Lin Feng was participating. Chapter 906. The White Ram Legion Lord was surprised. He's different. Yinho Junju's eyes flashed slightly. The White Ram Legion Lord said gravely, Nirvana Realm. Not just that. Yinho Junju said softly, it's the change of spirit. If I'm not wrong, his life level should have increased greatly. It's not the change from becoming saint to Nirvana Realm, but the 2nd bloodline awakening. So, the White Ram Legion Lord had a look of realization. Military Lord Yunjia nodded. We might have misunderstood him. Every time a bloodline awakens, the body needs sufficient time to transform and adapt. The reason why Lin Feng did not participate in the first round was most likely because he was too busy. The White Ram Legion Lord's eyes flashed. If that's the case, then it will be interesting. Yes. Yinho Junju smiled. Glory's sacred realm. Oh. Li Lang's angular face suddenly widened in surprise. Senior uncle, you noticed it too? Young Master Jianyu said with a smile. What'd I notice? Only Madame Ing was puzzled. Nothing, just unexpectedly, Lang said. His goal this time was to take in a disciple, so he knew all 10 participants. Unlike Madame Ing, who only looked at Gongsun Jin and did not notice Lin Feng's change. The life level of a Nirvana Realm expert is so strong. Young Master Jianyu sighed. Li Lang nodded. It's comparable to normal 10,000 lifespan experts. If even Yinho Junju could see through it, then Li Lang and young Master Jianyu, who were powerful, were the top existences in Glory Alliance. Does senior uncle know the reason for this? Young Master Jianyu asked. Bloodline. The 2nd awakening of a bloodline is strong enough, so the jump in life level is naturally large, Li Lang said. Or they have great fortune and eat large amounts of holy fruits or holy springs that can increase bloodline density. For example, Ji Xinling. Young Master Jianyu's gaze landed on the 2nd arena and nodded. Compared to the elimination round, she is like heaven and earth. Li Lang nodded. Right now, her life level is comparable to a Nirvana stage expert who has undergone a 2nd bloodline awakening. Once she awakens the legendary sub-perfect bloodline, she will be able to surpass a normal 10,000 years old expert. She will definitely be the champion of the ranking competition. Sub-perfect bloodline, TSK, how enviable. Jianyu sighed. Gongsun Jin. Lin Feng looked at the white-robed youth before him. He couldn't help but think of his performance in the last round of the elimination round, which could be said to be perfect. Other than himself, he was the only saint power cultivator. This is what I practice. Lin Feng was very clear. He had already felt it that day. Although it was also a human cultivation, it was different. Self-cultivation was a path of cultivation that led one's heart towards perfection, while self-cultivation was a path of cultivation that brought one's self to the extreme. In terms of saint energy cultivation, he was indeed inferior to him. But when it comes to human cultivation, I don't think he's stronger than me. It's a pity that I was in too much of a hurry. Otherwise, his battle in the first round could be used as a reference. As soon as Lin Feng's bloodline awakening ended, he immediately rushed over. He didn't see the White Ram Army Lord and didn't know who his opponent for this round was. It didn't matter who it was. He had to fight all of them. With his current mental state, it was perfect for him to deal with Gongsun Jin, who specialized in saint power. Come. Lin Feng pulled out the Demon Slayer blade. The heart of light on his forehead was already shining. To deal with Gong Sun Jin, he had to end the battle quickly. Huh! Gong Sun Jin, who was opposing Lin Feng, laughed. His expression was relaxed. Looking at Lin Feng, his eyes were filled with contempt and disdain. It was very simple. Lin Feng was predicted to be last in the qualifier. In the rules of the qualifier, someone like Lin Feng was a soft persimmon. Anyone could bully him. Losing to Chi Ti filled his heart with resentment and unwillingness. He couldn't wait to immediately win a huge victory to reverse the situation. Not only did he want to win this battle, he wanted to win it cleanly. Consider yourself unlucky. Gong Sun Jin's hands glowed as he quietly waited for the battle to begin. It wasn't just him. Shiyun, Kuei Do, Chi Ti, every expert was ready, waiting for the second round to begin. It was very important to take the initiative in the battle. The Alliance of Seven was extremely quiet. Everyone stared at the huge ice crystals and held their breaths, waiting for the moment to arrive. Boom! 5 huge ice crystals instantly exploded. Every warrior charged at their opponents with an imposing aura. After the first round of probing, not only did everyone know their opponents like the back of their hand, but they also knew the rules of the battle. The one who made the first move had the advantage. Once they fell into a disadvantageous position, there would be no cure. Pung, pung, pung. Giant beasts bearing their fangs suddenly appeared. The super beasts that were comparable to Nirvana realm cultivators were like obedient puppies under Gong Sun Jin's control. Instantly, Gong Sun Jin roared, and several super beasts attacked Lin Feng crazily. 3 are enough to deal with you. Gong Sun Jin conserved his saint power while controlling the situation. Right now, he was like a strategist who could take the enemy's life from 1,000 miles away. The 3 super beasts in front of him attacked Lin Feng without fear of death. Fists rumbled and claws tore through the clouds. Gong Sun Jin was very proud. White light flashed, accompanied by a terrifying blade energy. Under Gong Sun Jin's shocked gaze, countless sharp lights pierced through from all directions. The 3 super beasts howled in pain and grief. Pa! 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 Blood splattered everywhere. They were directly dismembered without any room for negotiation. A white figure rushed out of the super beast's corpses with a whoosh. It was as fast as lightning. You do have some skills. Gong Sun Jin didn't panic. Although it was too late to release the super beast now, and although his speed couldn't compare to Lin Feng's in a battle at Nirvana realm and treasures were much stronger than physical fitness. Lin Feng's figure in his sight grew bigger and clearer. Suddenly, it became blurry. He was waiting for an opportunity. When Lin Feng's aura was extremely close, Gong Sun Jin bit his lip. Blood flowed out of his mouth as he instantly unleashed his power. Self-cultivation. Gong Sun Jin's body shook violently. A ghostly eye appeared on his forehead. It was the Gong Sun family's bloodline inheritance, the Yin-Yang demon eye. It was powered by the self-cultivation, and the bloodline was fully unleashed. Wow, Lin Feng's eyes seemed to flash with light. Gong Sun Jin's head shook violently. Almost without thinking, he unleashed his self-cultivation. All of his sacred power gathered and spun rapidly. Lin Feng became smaller and smaller in front of him. It was as if he was trapped in a door that was slowly closing. Ha ha ha! Gong Sun Jin laughed wildly. The Yin-Yang demon eye on his forehead dimmed a little. It trapped Lin Feng's consciousness in the demon territory. Countless demons attacked Lin Feng from all directions. Gong Sun Jin raised his head proudly. He was like a supreme being who could easily decide the life and death of others. Let's end this. Gong Sun Jin roared. In the space of consciousness, Lin Feng's figure was torn to pieces. Complete victory. Chapter 907. The atmosphere in the Glory Alliance 7 froze like an iceberg. Everyone stared at the ice crystal, stifling their breaths. They watched as the figure collapsed. The battle had only started for a short while, but the outcome had already been decided in the blink of an eye. This was the fastest battle of the 5 arenas. Instantly, a thunderous roar rang out as the soldiers shouted excitedly. Good job! Lord Lin Feng is too powerful. Beautiful victory. The members of the Chaos team were overjoyed to see Lin Feng defeat Gong Sun Jin. The figure stood tall and looked down at the world. What happened? What happened in that instant just now? The soldiers of the Alliance 7 did not understand. Most of the martial artists in the Glory Sanctuary did not understand either. There was no clash of weapons. They only saw Gong Sun Jin unleash the power of his bloodline. His yin-yang demon eyes instantly enveloped Lin Feng with the power of his human cultivation. But in the next moment, the one who fell was Gong Sun Jin. This, Madame Parrot was shocked. What a guy, dual cultivation. Young Master Jian, you was pleasantly surprised. The cultivation of the self and the cultivation of the self. Li Lang's lightning eyes shone brightly as he stared straight at Lin Feng. With the three warlords' level and vision, they naturally knew what had just happened. Simply put, it was like the backlash of a martial artist cultivation. It was like a martial artist trying to refine the soul of a demon, but the soul's power was too strong, and it was swallowed up instead. Gong Sun Jin was like this. He never would have thought that this unassuming Lin Feng in front of him also had the cultivation of the heaven tier. His cultivation was only stronger than his. His heart is very strong. After a long while, Madame Parrot finally spoke. As a general who practiced the Heaven's Eye cultivation, her vision was even better than Li Lang and young Master Jianyu's. In terms of cultivation, Gong Sun Jin is much stronger than him, but the illusion is more of a competition of willpower. Gong Sun Jin thought that he could win every battle with his eye cultivation, but his ID is self-cultivation. There's a flaw. Originally, my whole cultivation emphasized perfection, but the defeat in the last battle planted a seed in Gong Sun Jin's heart. If he had encountered any other martial artist, it wouldn't have mattered. But when he encountered Lin Feng, whose cultivation was almost the same as his own, this flaw was infinitely magnified, becoming the reason for his defeat. Li Lang shook his head. He has completely lost himself in the illusion of his true self. All day long, he has been blinded by the wild geese pecking at his eyes. Lin Feng left the fifth arena. What a pity. A sacred force cultivator can't even see his own flaws. Lin Feng felt a bit of regret. He was unable to truly fight Gong Sun Jin. In a normal battle, even if his willpower was stronger than Gong Sun Jin's, he wouldn't have fallen into his illusion. However, the seed of defeat had already been planted in the depths of his heart. The eruption of the illusory realm had caused his cultivation to collapse, which led to his fall. He only had himself to blame for his loss. You won. The White Ram Legion's commander was somewhat stunned. Yes, he won. Yinho Junju looked at Lin Feng's back, a look of appreciation in his eyes. The White Ram Legion's commander couldn't believe it. He can actually defeat Gong Sun Jin. Yinho Junju laughed. When has he ever lost? Yes. The White Ram Legion's commander murmured, thinking of the qualification battle of the 7 alliances and the elimination battle of the 12 alliances. Although Lin Feng seemed to be stumbling, he won every battle. There seemed to be infinite potential in his body that couldn't be used up. He became stronger when he met the strong. Lei Huoya. He won again. He defeated Kuei Do, who was predicted to be ranked 4th, and continued to maintain his invincible golden body. Ji Xinling didn't disappoint, defeating Yin Yuelon of the Yin Cheng clan, and also remained undefeated. These two opponents, who were predicted to be ranked 1st and 2nd, were at each other's throats. Chi Ti lost. His performance in the first round was extremely outstanding. Chi Ti, who defeated Gong Sun Jin, lost to Shi Yun in the second round. It wasn't an upset, but Chi Ti's prediction before the battle was 75%. He didn't expect Shi Yun to win in the end. Light Man was also unexpected. He defeated Lei Guangxiao of the Clear Sky clan, and surprisingly maintained a perfect record of winning. His predicted ranking was only 9th place. Hua. The entire Glory 7 alliances was in an uproar. Lin Feng and Light Man's performance in the second round boosted morale. Especially Light Man's last punch that defeated Lei Guangxiao. It made people's blood boil. He used his actions to tell everyone that every martial artist with a mediocre background had a chance to become one of the strongest in the Nirvana world. The praises were endless, especially when Light Man won again in the third round. His reputation reached its peak. 3 wins, 0 losses. Yeah, Lord Lightman is too awesome. Yes, not only is he strong, but he's also very lucky. He met Gong Sun Jin, who was unconscious, and won without a fight. I wonder if he and Lord Lin Feng had an agreement. It was a free win. Gong Sun Jin still hadn't woken up from the illusion, and no one could help him because he had fallen into his own illusion. He was also extremely unlucky. Chi Ti was also unlucky. He had fought 3 fierce battles in a row. First, he fought Gong Sun Jin, then Shi Yun, and now he had to fight Lei Huoye, who was predicted to be first. He wanted to kill his enemy, but he couldn't. The most exciting battle of the third round was between Ji Xinling and Kue Do. The one who had the last laugh was Ji Xinling. Shi Yun and Lin Feng each won a battle. After the third round, the situation was very clear. Only 3 people had maintained a perfect record of winning: Lei Huoye, Ji Xinling, and Light Man. There are also 3 people who had lost a perfect record: the surprising Gong Sun Jin, Lei Guangxiao, and Yin Yuelan, who were predicted to be 7th and 8th. Light Man is just lucky. His record is too much. Yes, he'll definitely fall later. This year's ranking competition is actually between Lei Huoye and Ji Xinling. I didn't expect Gong Sun Jin to be last. After the elimination, he was predicted to be 3rd, only behind Lei Huoye and Ji Xinling. Fate really makes fools of people. It's all because of Lin Feng. Who would have thought that this unknown kid could cultivate both holy chi and holy power? Not only does he have the light heart, but he also has the heaven eye cultivation. He doesn't have a prominent family background, but his talent is really terrifying. Nonsense. Otherwise, how could he have entered the ranking competition? The ranking competition went on for 3 rounds. The situation gradually became clear. Many people in the Glory Sanctuary were talking about it. Lei Huoye and Ji Xinling had a perfect record of winning, with the most eye-catching. Everyone was looking forward to the battle between the 2. They wanted to see who was the strongest in the ranking competition. Inside the 1,000-knife thunderbolt. Clang! Knife light shone. A greenish-black monster appeared in the void. It was terrifyingly violent. Lin Feng roared. The half-human, half-beast monster was very clear. Its 2 bison horns hit the metal wall of the 1,000-knife thunderbolt. Crack! The terrifying knife power shook the 1,000-knife thunderbolt. Lin Feng stood there with Demon Slayer in his hand. A shallow knife mark appeared on the metal wall. Lin Feng's lips curled into a satisfied smile. The first move of the 1,000-knife art. Chapter 908. I must win the next round. Kue Do was like a boulder. He was so angry that his hair stood on end. If Gong Sun Jin was the unluckiest person in this ranking competition, then he was the 2nd unluckiest. He was predicted to be in the top 3 or even the champion. However, he had lost to Lei Huoye in the 2nd round. In the 3rd round, he had lost to Ji Xinling in his 80% state. Damn it! If I was in my peak state, I would have won the last round. Kue Do was very annoyed. Shi Yun's face appeared in his mind. Kue Do's face turned gloomy. She is smart. She knew that Lei Huoye would be the champion this time. She gave up in the 1st round to preserve her strength. In the 2nd round, Kue Do used 100% of his power to fight Lei Huoye. He accepted his loss wholeheartedly. Lei Huoye was ranked 1st among the 10 people in the ranking competition. Shi Yun's opponent is Lei Guanglie. She will win without shedding a drop of blood. In the next round, I will face her. Kue Do was soaked in a huge grayish-white medicine pool. As an elite of the Hunling race, he was treated better than most warriors. However, even with the best recovery conditions, there was a limit to his body's recovery. He couldn't recover in one go. My luck is not bad. I will only need to use 50% of my power to win this round against that kid from Alliance 7. After 3 more days of rest, I will be evenly matched against Shi Yun, while a strong earth power spread out. Layers of armor appeared on Kue Do's strong body. It was the earth defense that the Hunling race was best at. Gong Sun Jin's loss was worth it. At least he forced this kid to use his trump card. Kuei Do's eyes were bright. He is the rarest dual cultivator in the Nirvana world. Huh, he's still too young. He doesn't know how to hide his strength. So what if he has a lot of offensive skills? As long as his defense is strong enough, there is nothing to fear. Kuei Do was very confident. In fact, everyone wanted to win against Lin Feng. After all, he was predicted to be the last in the ranking. However, prediction was one thing. True strength was another. For example, Lightman, who was predicted to be ranked 9th, had 3 wins and 0 losses against Lei Huoya. Ji Xinling and Lei Huoya were neck to neck. The 4th round was about to begin. Within the Glory Sanctuary, everyone was engaged in heated discussions, and the atmosphere was extremely fiery. Lei Huoya can easily take another victory. His opponent is Yin Yuelan, who has yet to win. How can it be as relaxed as Ji Xinling? Encountering the unconscious Gong Sun Jin, who knows which of the two will taste defeat first? I can only wait for the two of them to fight each other. I can't think of anyone else who can win against them. Yeah, the two of them are too strong. Compared to the 3rd round, there wasn't much suspense in the 4th round. Lei Huoya and Ji Xinling both won easily. Shi Yun's fight against Lei Quangliang was also one-sided. On the contrary, the other 2 duels were expected. Lightman, who had won 3 matches in a row, was up against Qi Ti. Lin Feng, who had defeated Gong Sun Jin, was up against the unlucky Kuei Do. The members of the Alliance of 7 waited anxiously. The ones who were the most nervous were them. Their palms were sweating as they held their breaths and stared at the ice crystal, waiting for the battle to begin. At this moment, everyone from the 5 arenas had arrived, except for Gong Sun Jin. Martial Uncle, who do you think is stronger between Lei Huoya and Ji Xinling? Young Master Jian Yu asked. Lei Huoya, Li Lang said. Young Master Jian Yu said, he cultivates the great Tao of lightning like you, and he isn't from the 5 races of Tian and Mo. Do you want to take him as your disciple? Li Lang shook his head. His potential is far from Ji Xinling's. Origin Star, Aptitude, and Bloodline only have Aptitude. The other 2 are mediocre. However, Aptitude is the easiest to improve. There are many Aptitude Saint fruits in the 6 Forbidden Lands. If he becomes my disciple, I will help him improve his aptitude. Madame Parrot nodded. That's right. Compared to Ji Xinling, the 2 of them have a better future. Their current strength is slightly weaker, but if they can awaken their bloodline a 2nd time in a month, it's still unknown who will win. Young Master Jian Yu sighed. Unfortunately, Ji Xinling only has a bloodline. Her origin star and aptitude are mediocre. That's why it's so rare to see a genius like Li Poji, Li Lang said. Young Master Jian Yu nodded. Ji Xinling's father, Ji Zhong, is a 10,000 years old expert. It's basically impossible to take her as a disciple. Even if she is willing, I can't take her as my disciple. Li Lang said, I can't be careless when taking a disciple. She cultivates wind heart, which has nothing to do with me. If I take her as my disciple, I won't be able to teach her properly. Instead, I will be holding her back. Then, Martial Uncle, what you are focusing on now is... Young Master Jian Yu pondered. Li Lang smiled faintly. His gaze landed on the 3rd battle arena, sister-in-law, and I should be observing the same thing. Madame Parrot's lips moved slightly, yes. Oh. Young Master Jian Yu's eyes lit up. Begin. In the void, there was a deafening sound. Like the beating of a drum, all the martial artists unleashed their battle prowess in an instant. Facing Kuei Do, who was predicted to be ranked 4th, Lin Feng's battle intent surged. His light heart bloomed with intense light. If he didn't use his light origin, it would be difficult to win against such an opponent. He didn't use his whirlpool light body. The divine patterns didn't appear, but the bloodline in his body didn't change at all. Clang! The Devil's Slayer light appeared. The power of the 3rd level, Minute Realm, instantly gained the upper hand. However, it was only a slight advantage. Kuei Do's power was also at the beginning of the 3rd level. Lin Feng directly used the profound meaning, White Crane Glimmer. He pushed his speed to the peak and suddenly arrived. However, the moment he entered Kuei Do's area, he felt an intense pressure from the earth. Holy treasure. Lin Feng instantly realized that Kuei Do had an "I was waiting for you" expression. Lin Feng's astonishing speed during the elimination round. Who didn't know about the battle where he defeated Ao Peng? If there was no way to limit his speed, he might follow in Ao Peng's footsteps. Absolute control. Kuei Do didn't seem to plan to attack. He was good at defense. Moreover, he clearly knew that Lin Feng had another trump card. Light origin. It wasn't worth it to attack Lin Feng now. Come on. The corners of Kuei Do's mouth curled up into a complacent smile. His plan to lure Lin Feng into his trap had completely succeeded. The super heaven-ranked sacred treasure, whale-devouring Ji, had revealed its might. From the moment Lin Feng stepped in, it had started to devour Lin Feng's power, especially the origin of light. Every time Lin Feng attacked, from the moment he attacked to the end, the more power he absorbed. If Lin Feng was a holy power cultivator who controlled the flow, it would be even harder for him to use his holy power within the range of the whale swallowing Ji. If he was an illusion cultivator, Kuei Do would be even more eager. To deal with Lin Feng, he borrowed a super heaven-ranked holy treasure to protect and strengthen his will. An illusion attack? As long as Lin Feng dared to use it, he would be in big trouble. Kuei Do was very confident. However, he suddenly saw the smile on Lin Feng's face. Lin Feng's confidence and calmness shocked him. Bluff! Kuei Do's palms were sweating. Chapter 909. Lin Feng could feel the loss of his light origin source. However, this power was not unstoppable, especially when the light origin source was in his body. This was because he had the true Dragon Saint power and bloodline. His heart of light was hidden in the black hole whirlpool in that primitive space. The greatest consumption was the moment he attacked and the moment his power erupted. If he condensed the divine inscriptions and unleashed the whirlpool light body's greatest power, he could resist it. However, there was no need. Thousand Knife Art, first technique. Ever since his bloodline awakened, Lin Feng had been pondering the mysteries of the first technique. It was not easy to completely master the comprehension of the bloodline awakening and turn it into the power of the saber itself. Fortunately, he was deeply immersed in the mysteries of the first technique. This was why he had completed a perfect demonstration of this saber technique 2 hours ago. Now was the best time to test the saber. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The ground shook. A monster that was 10 meters tall appeared behind Lin Feng. It was half human and half beast. A greenish-black light covered its entire body. The lines on its forehead were clear, and its scales were ferocious. Its 2 horns were as big as a bull's. Sizzle, the light origin source, merged with it. There was no mystery because the saber technique itself was a perfect whole. Any strength or technique added would destroy the original saber intent. This was a real saber, a saber that was driven by the power of the saber heart. Saber heart. If a person has a heart, the saber also has a heart. The power of the saber is endless. It is not just the realm of strength. A true saber wielder can fully unleash the power of the saber heart and turn it into the purest combat power. Lin Feng raised his saber and closed his eyes. His heart was calm. The rich power in the third meridian increased tremendously. This was the third grand nirvana power. The first was the origin source energy. The second was the heaven eye cultivation. They corresponded to the earth's soul and talent soul. The saber heart corresponded to the wisdom soul. By beast technique, Lin Feng's saber transformed into the monster called by beast. Second saber heart. The heart of the by beast erupted with its ultimate power. It was invincible. Under everyone's shocked gaze, Lin Feng's demon slayer saber broke through the control of the Juedi whale. He directly attacked Kuei Do. Lin Feng didn't show the slightest bit of fear in the face of an elite powerhouse with the bloodline of Tian Mo's 5 clans. What a terrifying saber. Kuei Do's face turned pale. At that moment, he realized that he had been wrong. He had misjudged Lin Feng's strength. His defense. Let's go all out. Kuei Do gritted his teeth. and roared. Earth Vine, defensive construct. As a member of the Hunling race, he was proficient in the control of the Tao of Earth. A round shield that was intertwined with gold and purple appeared in his hand. On top of the round shield, there was a half-kneeling warrior that was emitting a bright light. Whoosh in the void, the half-kneeling warrior suddenly appeared, holding the golden-purple shield in his hand. An irresistible attack came crashing down. Break for me! Lin Feng was filled with fighting spirit. The nightmare beast extinction, driven by the blade heart, displayed astonishing destructive power. The two buffalo-like horns directly pierced through the golden-purple shield. Kuei-do's face was deathly pale. He suddenly spat out a mouthful of turbid blood, and his eyes were filled with shock as he looked at Lin Feng. Crack! The buffalo-like horn attack was only the first wave. The second wave of attacks scared the half-kneeling warrior out of his wits. The golden-purple shield landed in Kuei-do's hand. Countless bone spikes shot out from the ground like arrows. But the nightmare beast extinction's eruption was like the wrath of heaven. The frenzied saber aura destroyed everything. The terrifying power shot toward Kuei-do like a cannonball. Kuei-do spat out blood and staggered before he could stabilize himself. A gigantic beast that blotted out the sky had arrived in front of him. This time, Kuei-do's eyes were filled with despair. He had never felt such despair before. He was actually being beaten by an unknown brat. Glory's sacred region. Kuei-do lost? Unbelievable. Lin Feng actually won against Kuei-do? What was that saber move? It can actually release a monster's physical body. So powerful. I don't know. However, it's not just because of the saber move. The main reason is that Kuei-do wasn't in his best condition. He fought Lei Huoye and Ji Xinling in the first 2 rounds and lost miserably. His injuries are not light, and his mental state is greatly affected. It's already not bad that he can use 50% of his combat strength. That's right. Otherwise, why didn't Kuei-do have the intention to attack? He only defended. Lin Feng got a great bargain. It was a carefree and unrestrained battle. However, no matter how one won, there would always be some dissenting voices. As for these voices, Lin Feng automatically blocked them. The Thousand Saber General's ultimate move can actually appear again. Young Master Jianyu sighed. Yes, in these long years, countless martial artists have entered the Thousand Saber Lightning. Those who have seen the Thousand Saber Art's 4 ultimate moves are also like locusts. However, those who can truly comprehend the Thousand Saber Art's 4 ultimate moves can be counted on one hand. It has been more than 100,000 years since the last person who comprehended it, Madame Parrot said. The Thousand Saber General's saber focuses on the heart. It's definitely not an ordinary saber technique. It's much more exquisite than the demon race's power techniques, Li Lang said. Madame Parrot nodded. The Thousand Saber General swept through all obstacles with the Thousand Saber Art's 4 ultimate moves. He even killed a Heaven Glimpse expert before. Li Lang heaved a long sigh. I want to take back one sentence. Young Master Jianyu and Madame Parrot were startled. They looked at Li Lang in confusion. I won't look down on him anymore. He's a martial artist who truly possesses the saber heart, and his saber chi is astonishing. He's definitely not an indecisive person, Li Lang said seriously. Such an indomitable saber wielder would never lower himself to concede a match. Lin Feng won, just like Lei Huoye, Ji Xinling, and Shi Yun all won. The conclusion of the 4th round caused the entire Glory Alliance of 7 to erupt into an uproar. Not only was it because Lin Feng had defeated Kuei-do, but it was also because Lightman hadn't let them down either. Even though he had taken quite a bit of damage from his fight with Chi Ti, he had still managed to obtain a victory. He still maintained a complete victory. Who would have thought that Lightman, who was predicted to be ranked 9th, would be neck and neck with Lei Huoye and Ji Xinling? Keep it up, Captain. Maybe you'll get first place in the end, Lin Feng said with a smile. I don't have such extravagant hopes. Lightman pressed his chest. His injuries were somewhat heavy. Although he defeated Chi Ti and took revenge for last year, it was more because Chi Ti and Shi Yun had fought Lei Huoye and Lei Huoye in the previous 2 rounds. In terms of true strength, he didn't have the slightest chance of winning. I'm going to fall behind in the next round. Light Man was very relaxed. I have no chance of winning against Ji Xinling. Do your best, Lin Feng encouraged. Light Man nodded. I'll take this chance to see how big the gap is between me and the strongest contestant. We're here. Light Man stood outside Royal Pavilion and said to Lin Feng, rest well for 3 days. Don't push yourself too hard. Right? Are you still going to White Bull Pavilion? Lin Feng lightly nodded. I have some business with White Bull Pavilion's army commander. Light Man smiled and nodded. Then we'll meet in 3 days. Work hard. Okay, Captain, Lin Feng replied. Chapter 9:10. White Ram Inn. What did you say? The Origin Sea. The White Ram Army's leader looked at Lin Feng as if he was looking at a monster. Yes. Lin Feng nodded. Although I need to use some special methods, I did sense the light Origin Sea. Over the past few days, he had experimented many times while cultivating the Thousand Knife Art. Under normal circumstances, he could not connect to the light Origin Sea. Only when his bloodline activated could he do so. Are you sure? The White Ram Army's leader asked Lin Feng again. I'm sure. Lin Feng and the White Ram Army's leader looked at each other. There was no hesitation in his eyes. Phew, shaking his head in disbelief. The White Ram Army's general had a complicated expression. Forgive me for forgetting myself, but I have never heard of a martial practitioner who could connect to the Source Sea without crossing the Grand Nirvana stage. This is simply unimaginable. In the White Ram Army's general's knowledge, the principle of cultivation was deeply ingrained. However, this rule was shattered by Lin Feng. Connecting to the Origin Sea was the symbol of a Grand Nirvana realm expert. Only after reaching the Grand Nirvana realm could one possess it. What did the Origin Sea you saw look like? Did you sense anything special? The White Ram Army's leader asked solemnly. Lin Feng nodded and did not hide anything. He then narrated what he saw when he connected to the light Origin Sea. To him, it was very important to clarify this doubt. After all, he did not want to cultivate blindly. After a long time, according to what you said, it really is the Origin Sea. The White Ram Army's leader frowned and looked at Lin Feng. The cultivation of the Origin energy is not complicated. As long as you can connect to the Origin Sea, immerse your heart and mind as one, you can cultivate and absorb it. Looking at Lin Feng, who seemed to understand, the White Ram Army's leader said, simply put, you just have to throw yourself into the Origin Sea. Oh, Lin Feng was slightly stunned. So simple. He thought he would need the help of a mental technique or a more complicated method. He did not expect it to be so easy. The Great Tao is simple. The White Ram Legion's chief said, it's easy to say it's simple, but difficult to say it's harder than ascending to heaven. Connecting to the Origin Sea was only the beginning for Grand Nirvana realm experts. From the 10,000 years realm to the Heaven Glimpse realm, and then to the life-breaking realm, countless geniuses dimmed. Countless experts have fallen. Other than the Origin Star, talent, and Bloodline Foundation, opportunity, luck, and fate are also very important. Lin Feng listened attentively. On the path of a Grand Nirvana expert, the White Ram General had already walked many paths. His experience was extremely valuable. Himself, at the moment, he was just at the starting line. Your situation is special. I have never encountered it before. I might have to go back and check the ancient books before I can give you an answer. The White Ram Army Chief said, if I gave you a random answer, it would be irresponsible to you. The White Ram Army Chief still regarded Lin Feng with great importance. May I ask, General, what is the cultivation of a normal Grand Nirvana realm expert? Lin Feng said curiously. The White Ram General looked at Lin Feng. After reaching Grand Nirvana realm, the Origin Star will open up an internal world. We call it the Origin Star realm. We have always thought that the reason we could connect to the Origin Sea was because of the appearance of the Origin Star realm. But like you, it is very abnormal. Origin Star realm? Lin Feng's eyes lit up. He pointed at his heart. The internal world here? The White Ram General's eyes flashed. Yes, the Origin Star is the power. The bloodline is the key. Opening up the Origin Star realm is a true Grand Nirvana realm expert. Pausing, the White Ram General said in a low voice, "You are not going to tell me. You have even opened up the Origin Star Realm." "I'm not very sure, but it should be." From the description of the Origin Star Realm by the White Ram General, Lin Feng was almost certain. His black hole whirlpool led to the Origin Star Realm. The White Ram General's mouth twitched. His voice was like toothpaste. "The light heart is inside." "Yes." The White Ram General took a deep breath. "With the bloodline as the source, it is pitch black." "Yes." The White Ram General looked dazedly at Lin Feng. "Was the mental distance?" "What is mental distance?" Lin Feng did not understand. The White Ram General answered, "Merge your consciousness into the light heart and spread your thoughts until you touch the border of the Origin Star Realm. 1 second is 1 thought distance. 10 seconds is 10 thoughts distance." Normally, experts in the 10,000-year stage who are stronger than Grand Nirvana Realm experts have at least 1 thought distance, up to 10 thoughts distance. Lin Feng said, "I am not very sure." He did not say it in detail, but Lin Feng knew that the space in his black hole whirlpool was at least 10 thoughts distance. The White Ram military lord did not pursue the matter because he was deeply shocked at this moment. It did not matter how far Lin Feng's psyche range was. What was important was that he was almost 99% sure that Lin Feng was not only connected to the Origin Sea, but also had the Origin Star Realm in his body. Too shocking. It completely subverted his understanding. "I understand the general situation. Go back for now. I will give you an answer after I check the ancient books," the White Ram General said seriously. "All right, General. Sorry for the trouble." Lin Feng stood up. "Also, I have a presumptuous request." "Don't worry. I will not tell anyone," the White Ram General said. "Many thanks, General." Lin Feng expressed his gratitude. He left the White Ram Tower. The White Ram General was not the only one shocked. Lin Feng was also shocked. From the information he had learned from the White Ram General, combined with himself, many secrets were on the verge of being revealed. For example, the Origin Sea. Without the deep-rooted thoughts of Planet Nemo, Lin Feng could easily deduce the key to connecting to the Origin Sea, life level and bloodline. While I am in the Nirvana realm, because of dual cultivation, my life level is higher than normal Nirvana realm experts. The most important thing is bloodline. Under normal circumstances, he would not be able to connect to the Origin Sea. But once his bloodline erupted, the Shun glyphs would appear and the whirlpool of light could guide him. This was the key. As for the Origin Star Realm, the early awakening should be, because my cultivation method is different from that of the humans on Planet Nemo. Lin Feng knew that the humans on Planet Nemo either cultivated holy chi or holy power. Simply put, they cultivated the first or second meridian diagram. But the Origin Star Realm originated from the third meridian diagram. As for the secrets hidden in it, currently he did not know. The only conclusion he could draw was, "My bloodline is quite extraordinary." Lin Feng's lips curled up slightly. His steps were powerful as he walked toward the Thousand Knives Thunderbolt. The answer to the question in his heart was of great help to Lin Feng. Currently, the biggest help was that he could cultivate. Entering the light source ocean and absorbing the pure light source ocean, his cultivation speed would naturally be extraordinary. The reason why Grand Nirvana experts couldn't cultivate was because they didn't have the Origin Star World. It was like a wild beast living in the wild, ready to bite its master at any time. But with the Origin Star Realm, it was like a wild beast trapped in a cage. There was no need to worry about its safety. Telekinesis. Lin Feng's consciousness merged into the light core and spread instantly. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Chapter 911. According to Lin Feng's estimation, it was not a problem for him to exceed 10 seconds, but at most, it would be a few dozen seconds. However, reality was completely different from what he expected. 50 seconds, 70 seconds, 90 seconds. Lin Feng was secretly shocked. According to what the White Ram military lord said, a normal 10,000 years old expert who had passed the Grand Nirvana stage would have a distance of at least 1 thought and at most 10 thought. However, he had already far surpassed it. 100 seconds. Lin Feng counted silently. The spread of his consciousness had not reached the limit. Lin Feng knew that there was a limit. Before the second bloodline awakening, his origin star realm had already expanded to the limit and stabilized once. However, after the second bloodline awakening, it expanded more than 10 times. Time continued to pass. What brought to Lin Feng was deep shock and bewilderment. The thought distance was too big. 1,000 seconds, 1,200 seconds, 1,500 seconds. Snap! The probing of his consciousness finally stopped. He had touched the limit. The thought distance was an extremely exaggerated number. 1,633 seconds. As his consciousness returned, Lin Feng opened his eyes and couldn't help but sigh. It was too shocking. A normal 10,000 years old expert's origin star realm only has a thought distance of 10. I actually have a thought distance of 1,633. Lin Feng sighed. The difference was more than 100 times. The thought distance is equivalent to the diameter of the origin star realm. The larger the thought distance, the larger the origin star realm, and the more it can contain. Therefore, I have 20 times the light core now, far surpassing a normal nirvana expert. The mystery of the light core was solved, but another question mark appeared. But why is my origin star realm so big? Lin Feng murmured softly. There was no answer. Lin Feng did not ask for an answer. He came to the end of 1,000-knife lightning and sat cross-legged in front of the metal wall with the 4 absolutes of the 1,000-knife art. He was not in a hurry to cultivate. Firstly, the origin sea would not run away. Secondly, it would not be too late to cultivate after the White Ram military lord finished reading the ancient books. Thirdly, he would not stay in the 1,000-knife lightning, or more accurately, the glory sanctuary. He wanted to learn the 4 absolutes of the 1,000-knife art, only in the 1,000-knife lightning. Because his saber technique was only at the 2nd level, he was unable to reflect and memorize the essence of the 1,000-knife art. No wonder General of 1,000 Blades is so famous. He is the true Blade King. Lin Feng felt respect for General of 1,000 Blades. The level of his blade technique could be seen from General of 1,000 Blades' self-created 4 styles of 1,000 Blades force. Each level represented the 4 absolutes of the 1,000-knife art, which represented his life's work. The 4 absolutes of the 1,000-knife art had perfectly evolved. It was not difficult to attain the saber technique realm, but to use the saber heart was too difficult. At the very least, Lin Feng knew that he couldn't do it. The second art. Lin Feng stared intently at the screen. It was a picture that resembled the universe. Within it, there were small dots that were as dense as needles. It seemed complicated, but it was actually traceable. The Qianquan pattern revolved endlessly in his eyes. Outside was the Qianquan, and inside was the vortex. The tiny dots that were as dense as needles were like countless meteors that connected the Qianquan and the vortex. Lin Feng could feel his own vortex light body rotating, and he had a deep understanding of it. The new vortex light body wasn't just strong in terms of light. The original 3 layers of divine inscriptions had now been upgraded to 9 layers. His comprehension of the vortex light body had improved greatly. It was extremely clear. Even though the 4 absolutes of the 1,000-knife art were more difficult than the other, to Lin Feng, comprehending the 8 diagrams absolutes was easier than comprehending the by-beast absolutes. Heaven, Earth, Qianquan. The outside is the array, and the inside is the vortex. What a terrifying saber heart. It actually contains 2 types of power and can erupt at the same time. Lin Feng was deeply immersed. Gong Sun Jin woke up. Halfway through the competition, Gong Sun Jin, who had been immersed in his own illusion, finally woke up. He didn't have any injuries on his body. He had already recovered over the past few days. However, the results in front of Gong Sun Jin were enough to make him collapse. 0 wins and 4 losses. He didn't win a single match. Why is it like this? Why did I fall into my own illusion? How hateful. Gong Sun Jin, who wanted to boost the Gong Sun family's reputation, no longer had a chance. Even if he won all 6 matches, he wouldn't be able to enter the top 4. This was undoubtedly a heavy blow to the ambitious Gong Sun Jin. What made him even more hateful was that he had lost to a nobody. Lin Feng, that bastard. Gong Sun Jin's eyes were about to crack. Because of his battle with Lin Feng, he had fallen into an illusion for 8 days. He had lost 2 matches in a row without a fight. He was simply unlucky. I must turn this around. In the next match, I will let everyone see my true strength. I must win. Gong Sun Jin's eyes were bloodshot. He was a little blinded by anger. He didn't know who his opponent was in the 5th round. It was the person who had 4 wins and 0 losses and was ranked first in the qualifier. Lei Huoya. 3 days of rest passed quickly. The 5th round of battles, as the middle round of the ranking competition, attracted a lot of attention like a dividing line. Chi Ti. Lin Feng already knew who his opponent was. It was him from the Scarlet Billow squad. Back then, he had witnessed his bravery in Battlefield 1. He was from the Scarlet Sun clan, one of the 5 clans of the Tianma clan. Not only was his bloodline noble, but he had also been on the battlefield for a long time. Now, they finally met. 1 win, 3 losses. Lin Feng looked at Chi Ti's information and battle record. He sighed softly. This definitely wasn't Chi Ti's true strength. However, the qualifier wasn't just about strength. Strategy was also very important. Chi Ti had fought Gong Sun Jin, Shi Yun, and Lei Huoya. Each match was more difficult than the last. Originally, he had a high chance of winning in the 4th round. However, because he had suffered a crushing defeat in the last round and Lei Huoya was injured, Light Man had turned the tables. As for the 5th round, he has at most 80% of his strength left. Lin Feng felt that it was a pity. Actually, he wanted to compete with Chi Ti in his normal state. However, it seemed that he didn't have a chance in the qualifier. After collecting the information, Lin Feng stepped into the glory world. He would win this battle. It can't be. When Gong Sun Jin saw his opponent for this round, his eyes widened. He wanted to wipe away his previous humiliation. He didn't even know who his opponent would be. He didn't want to fight against Lei Huoya in his first match. There was no time to hesitate. The battle instantly started. Lei Huoya's hands were filled with endless lightning and thunder. As soon as he attacked, it was like a thunderbolt. The first place of the qualifier was terrifying. It was like crushing dry weeds. Gong Sun Jin was already scared out of his wits. The shadow of defeat loomed over him. He didn't even have the courage to resist before he was defeated. Light Man faced Ji Xinling. Light Man's luck had been pretty good. He won 4 matches in a row. However, the qualifiers still depended on strength. Ji Xinling's complete victory was much more valuable than Light Man's. She easily won this battle. Lei Kuangliang and Yin Yuechan, the 2 losers, also fought fiercely. The 5 races of heavenly silence had always been competing with each other. Moreover, both of them had lost 4 matches in a row. They had a belly full of resentment and had nowhere to vent it. In the end, Lei Kuangliang won by a small margin. He excitedly obtained a precious victory. Kue Do and Shi Yun's battle was also very intense. Unfortunately, Kue Do lost to Lin Feng last time. He lost again in this round. Chapter 9:12. Nightmare Beast Extinction. Lin Feng's blade destroyed all of Chi Ti's defenses. After a short exchange, the battle ended. Facing Chi Ti, who wasn't in his best condition, Lin Feng won effortlessly. Looking at Chi Ti, who had turned into white light and disappeared, Lin Feng's heart didn't fluctuate at all. The stronger one was, the greater one's confidence. Chi Ti was still the same Chi Ti. However, he was no longer the same person who had lost to the primordial demon of the Chiyu clan. Whoosh! Lin Feng left the glory world. In front of him was a gradually disappearing figure. The figure was still flickering with lightning, and his battle intent was strong. As if sensing his gaze, the figure suddenly stopped and turned around. Whoosh! Whoosh! Their eyes met, and golden spears clashed. The flames of war were faintly ignited between the two. At this moment, the glory world behind him flashed again. A beautiful figure appeared, breaking the balance. She wore a swallow-tailed robe. A light breeze blew past, and her appearance made everyone's eyes and ears clear. The 3 of them stood upright. Lei Hui's lips curled up slightly. He turned around and left. Lin Feng looked at Ji Xinling, who was beside him. He smiled and nodded, then left as well. Lei Huoya, Ji Xinling. They were his strongest opponents in this year's ranking tournament. I'm looking forward to it. Lin Feng clenched his fists. After 5 rounds, the ranking competition was more than half done. There were a total of 9 rounds, and only 4 rounds were left. The rankings clearly showed the strength of the participants. So far, only 2 people had won all their matches. Lei Huoya, Ji Xinling, Gong Sunjin, and Kuei Do, who were predicted to be in 3rd and 4th place, had terrible results. One had 0 wins and 5 losses, while the other had 1 win and 4 losses. The truly shocking ones were the 3 people in 2nd place: Shi Yun, Light Guy, and Lin Feng. The 3 had the same results, 4 wins and 1 loss. It wasn't surprising that Shi Yun, who was first in the Glory 3 Alliance qualifiers, had such a result. However, Light Guy and Lin Feng, who came from Glory Alliance 7, had such a result, it made everyone's jaws drop. The 2 of them were predicted to be 2nd from last, and the other was 1st from last. At this moment, they were like 2 dark horses. The schedule was favorable. They were just lucky. Exactly. If he ran in a Lei Huoya and Ji Xinling, he would definitely be finished. Didn't Light Guy lose in the 5th round? The gap between him and Ji Xinling is too big. If he faces Lei Huoya in the 6th round, he will lose another match and leave the ranking. As for Lin Feng, there is no need to talk about him. Look at his last 3 matches: Shi Yun, Ji Xinling, and Lei Huoya. It will definitely end with 3 consecutive defeats. This year's champion is either Lei Huoya or Ji Xinling. That goes without saying. Miracle Garden, Feiji Clan. Is there not enough time, father? Ji Xianling gritted her teeth. Her beautiful eyes were filled with disappointment. Ji Zhong shook his head. It's easier said than done to awaken the sub-perfect bloodline for the 2nd time. I've already fed you all the bloodline-type holy fruits that I bought. The effects have reached the peak. Plus, your life level has been increased by the Nirvana realm. We've done everything we can. The heart of wind on Ji Xinling's forehead flickered. Her body was like the shadow of a swallow as she moved with the wind. He seemed to be venting his emotions. Her speed became faster and faster. Ji Zhong looked at his precious daughter helplessly. He knew what his daughter was thinking, because in the next round, she was going to face Shi Yun, an opponent that she would never lose to. After a long time, Ji Xinling stopped. Father, do you think I will win? Ji Xinling looked at her father. Her voice was filled with uncertainty. Of course you will, my precious daughter. Ji Zhong smiled kindly. The 6th round began. The situation gradually became clear. Lei Huoya still won with an absolute advantage. Lin Feng easily defeated Yin Yuelan, who was at the bottom. Gong Sunjin faced Lei Guangxiao. It should have been a match that he could win, but he had just been seriously injured by Lei Huoya. Coupled with the super heaven-grade holy treasure that Lei Guangxiao had prepared for him, he lost in the end. The most exciting match was the battle between Shi Yun and Ji Xinling. It was a life-and-death battle between the strongest of the 2 alliances and the strongest of the 3 alliances. The 2 women did not give in to each other. They were tit for tat. Their battle strength was so strong that it set off waves. However, the outcome was already decided. She lost. Lin Feng shook his head. Halfway through the battle, he had already noticed that although they were evenly matched, it was obvious that Ji Xinling had used all of her strength while Shi Yun was still able to handle it with ease. In the end, she deserved to win. However, what truly shocked him was Shi Yun's intelligence. Her strength is on par with Ji Xinling. However, she lost to Lei Huoya in the 1st round without revealing her strength. Lin Feng praised her inwardly. It was a very decisive and strategic decision. She sacrificed 1 round in exchange for her future strength not to be damaged and to maintain her peak state. Therefore, Shi Yun was able to win 5 rounds in a row after losing the 1st round. She was even able to surpass Ji Xinling and was ranked 2nd. Currently, she was ranked 2nd only to Lei Huoya. It was not easy to make this decision. Lin Feng was impressed. If it were him, he would have tried to challenge Lei Huoya even if he knew that he was no match for him. However, Shi Yun decisively gave up. She gave up not only the first round, but also the championship of the ranking competition. If she wanted to become the champion of the ranking competition, she could only hope that Lei Huoya would lose 2 rounds in a row. It was almost impossible. My opponent in the next round is her. Lin Feng looked at Shi Yun, who was not tall but had great battle strength. His fighting spirit was boiling. This would be the most threatening match in the ranking competition. His opponent was a super strong person who was even stronger than Ji Xinling. Moreover, she was very smart. Like I fell behind. He went from 4 wins and 1 loss to 4 wins and 2 losses. Everyone felt that it was a pity. However, his 2 losses were unavoidable. It would be a miracle if he could win against Ji Xinling and Lei Huoya. How do you feel? Lin Feng asked. He's really strong. His control of lightning has reached perfection. It's too perfect. Like I sighed. Lin Feng nodded. Although he didn't personally witness the battle between Lei Huoya and Guangnan, he was able to guess 70 or 80% of the battle from Guangnan's description. Lei Huoya's strength was publicly acknowledged. He was predicted to be ranked first, and he was currently ranked first. He specialized in one aspect, and as someone who specialized in the great Tao of lightning, he was able to fully display his advantages. Is he stronger, or am I stronger? Lin Feng asked with a smile. Lightman smiled. His strength is enough to make people despair. He didn't say it clearly, but Lin Feng had a general idea. Like I didn't say this when he lost to Ji Xinling. It was clear that Lei Huoya's strength had left an indelible impression on him. Often, Light Guy suddenly said. Lin Feng looked at Light Guy. Be careful. Light Guy said sincerely. I feel that Lei Huoya might still have a trump card. His true battle strength might be even stronger than what we've seen. I know. Lin Feng nodded. Light flashed in his eyes. The stronger the opponent, the better. Only the stronger the opponent, the stronger he could be. Lei Huoya had a trump card and didn't use his full strength. As for himself, wasn't it the same? Chapter 9:13. Ji Xinling withdrew from the competition. The sudden news caused everyone to be startled. It was announced on the eve of the 7th round of the ranking competition. It caused a heated discussion in the Glory Sanctuary. Although Ji Xinling lost to Shi Yun, both of them had 5 wins and 1 loss. Ji Xinling was still ranked 3rd. The Path of Glory's qualification reward wasn't bad. Withdrawing was different from giving up. Withdrawing meant the end of the ranking competition. Seems like it's a big blow. Yeah, I heard that there's a big gap between Ji Xinling and Shi Yun. She doesn't want to lose to Shi Yun no matter who she loses to. But she doesn't need to withdraw just because she lost. She's too fragile. She's from a noble family. She doesn't care about the Path of Glory at all. She was just that stubborn. To Ji Xinling, the qualification for the Path of Glory was nothing more than this. Her first goal was to train her battle power, and second was to fight against Shi Yun. Now that she had completed both, what was the point of fighting against Lei Huoya while injured? The participants had different reactions, but most of them were happy. After all, Ji Xinling couldn't escape the top for no matter what. Her withdrawal was equivalent to raising the middle and lower ranks by 1. The ones who benefited the most were Lei Huoya, Lin Feng, and Qi Ti, who hadn't fought Ji Xinling yet. Not only did they win, but they also got 3 days to rest. It's a pity that there's 1 less opponent. Lin Feng sighed. Actually, he was looking forward to the battle with Ji Xinling. Her wind-born body and understanding of the Tao of wind were extraordinary in all aspects. The battle with her would be a battle of speed. Perhaps his white crane glimmer could benefit from this battle. However, everything had its pros and cons. My battle with Ji Xinling is in the 8th round. This way, after my battle with Shi Yun tomorrow, I'll have 6 days of rest. I'll be able to accumulate more battle power to prepare for the final battle. The Demon Slayer's saber in Lin Feng's hand shone brightly. A vague 8 trigrams pattern appeared in the air. As the saber energy was released, needle-like light spots spun rapidly. They turned into a whirlpool and quickly spread. Heaven and earth, outer formation, inner whirlpool. Huh! Lin Feng roared. His blade energy spilled out like light, and the 8 trigrams pattern rapidly enlarged. As if a mountain was crashing down, the terrifying rotation caused 1,000 sabers lightning to tremble continuously. The power of the vortex was strong, but as its power continued to increase, Lin Feng's eyes shone brightly. Ha! Patter! The 8 trigrams pattern was shattered, and the endless power of the vortex tore it apart. The saber force dissipated. Huff, huff! Lin Feng panted, his arms trembling. The second technique of the 1,000-knife art, consecutive divination technique, had failed. I still can't. What went wrong? The profound meaning of the heaven and earth universe within the outer formation's inner vortex? Or is it the time difference between the two? Lin Feng muttered to himself. His body flickered, and then he sat down in front of the metal wall. He pursed his lips and stared at the wall map. Since he couldn't find a reason for the failure, he had to start from the source again. He believed that all the answers were on the murals. Ranking competition, the 7th round. Originally, it was a match that everyone was looking forward to, but now it was a mirage in the water. Ji Xinling's withdrawal meant that Lei Huoya won without a fight. His record reached 7 wins and 0 losses, and he had no more opponents. The other matches were clear, including the one between Lin Feng and Shi Yun. Alliance 7's luck has come to an end. Behind Lightman is this Lin Feng. We can't let Alliance 7 be in the limelight all the time. I don't understand how this Lin Feng managed to climb to 3rd place. It feels like he's been hanging around there all this time. But after hanging around for a while, he somehow got a 3rd place. 5 wins and 1 loss. Wait, he hasn't lost other than the first match? Seems like it. No way. Is the last place that good? Lin Feng gradually attracted everyone's attention. At the beginning of the qualifiers, his forfeiture and his predicted last place ranking had long since thrown him out of the window. In addition, all the matches in Glory were happening at the same time, so not many people paid attention to him, except for Glory's Alliance 7. Lin Feng, Master Lin Feng, go for it. Win this match, and Master Lin Feng will be 2nd place. It was the complete opposite of the atmosphere in Glory's sanctuary. Lin Feng was currently the pride of Alliance 7, making every soldier proud. It was his first time participating in the ranking competition, and he had achieved such a result. That was 5 wins and 1 loss. Including Ji Xinling, who forfeited, it would be 6 wins and 1 loss. The worst result would be 6 wins and 3 losses, which would lock him in 4th place. The last time a warrior from Alliance 7 entered the top 5 was a few thousand years ago. My heart is beating so fast. Yixia's face was red as she pressed her chest. Brother Lin will definitely win. Blowing Snow was full of confidence. Yes, she Manzi smiled charmingly. Looking at the huge ice crystal, her heart had already belonged to him. Glory's sanctuary. I didn't expect Shi Yun to have hidden her strength so well. Young Master Jinyu said. Yes, she only showed her true strength in the battle with Ji Xinling. Other than her family's martial arts, she also mastered the 5-bird sect secret arts. No matter how powerful Ji Xinling is, she couldn't escape from her deer play defense. Li Lang said. She didn't lose unjustly. Lady Parrot said. Anyone who cultivates the 5-bird sect secret arts has to focus on one move and another move. Shi Yun only used the deer play defense when she fought with Ji Xinling. She didn't even use 100% of her strength. Young Master Jinyu smiled. Unfortunately, she's a girl. Otherwise, I would want to take her as my disciple. Li Lang nodded. Although her current strength is slightly weaker than Lei Huoya, her future is better. Pausing, Li Lang's eyes brightened. Actually, no matter if it's her or Lei Huoya, they can't compare to Ji Xinling. Although Ji Xinling is the weakest of the 3, I'm sure she'll be the strongest in 10 years. Lady Parrot nodded. The sub-perfect bloodline is rare even among the 5 families of Tianmo. As long as Ji Xinling reaches the Grand Nirvana realm and awakens her bloodline for the 2nd time, she'll be a heaven glimpse expert at the very least. She won't be afraid of the 3 of us in the future. Subperfect bloodline. Young Master Jian Yu's eyes were filled with envy. Only when one's strength reached their level did they realize the importance of bloodline. Just like the size of a bucket, the difference between a bucket and a bucket wasn't obvious when it only contained 1 pound of water. However, if it contained 10 pounds of water, the difference would be obvious. The stronger the bloodline, the higher the upper limit. There's another one with a strong bloodline here. Li Lang looked at the huge ice crystal. His life level has changed greatly. His bloodline has already awakened for the second time. His gaze focused on Lin Feng. What's his grade? Young Master Jian Yu was curious. Ultimate, Lady Parrot said sincerely. Ultimate ordinary or ultimate advanced bloodline has the highest possibility. If it's ultimate or subperfect bloodline, it'll be too difficult to awaken at the Nirvana realm. Li Lang agreed. He's a good seedling. However, his current strength shouldn't be as strong as Shi Yun's. Young Master Jian Yu smiled. It's normal. Even Ji Xinling lost to Shi Yun. Lin Feng won't be able to block more than a few moves. It's starting, Lady Parrot said. Chapter 9:14. Lin Feng versus Shi Yun. This was the most anticipated battle of the 7th round. Both of them had the same battle record. What was more similar was that they both lost the first battle and won 5 consecutive battles. Shi Yun's footsteps were firm and firm. Her petite body hid a terrifying power. A white soft armor made of special materials wrapped around her slender body. The moment she took a step, a powerful force attacked. Onion-like veins formed around her. With Shi Yun as the center, the veins of the earth engulfed Lin Feng. What a strong realm of power. Lin Feng was shocked. He was at a disadvantage as soon as he started fighting. Shi Yun's realm of power combined with the way of the earth had reached the limit of the 3rd realm. However, Lin Feng did not dodge. He knew Shi Yun's strength clearly. She was best at dealing with opponents who fought in guerrilla warfare. It was impossible to escape from her area of influence. Her body movements were as mysterious as Ji Xinling's. It was useless even if she had the wind heart. Lin Feng did not think he was better than Ji Xinling in this aspect. Nothing. Wrong. His strength lay in his ability to fight head-on. New sea breaking. Lin Feng attacked directly. His domineering aura merged with the power of the bloodline. Divine patterns flashed faintly on his arms. The power of the heart was strong and was not affected by Shi Yun at all. It merged perfectly with the origin of light. The white crane cried in the void. The speed of the blade was so fast that only its afterimage could be seen. Battle 18 hands break. As a close combat expert, Shi Yun's fist and palm techniques were cultivated to perfection. A strange air current, carrying the pulse of the earth, spread out along the lines of the earth with her as the center. Lin Feng's heart trembled. He felt that 95% of his power had been neutralized by this attack. It felt as if a knife had cut through cotton. At this moment, Shi Yun's right palm broke and her left palm pushed out. Battle 18 hands, Chi Rush. A terrifying flame condensed into a ball and blasted out at close range. It was so fast that it was impossible to defend against. Lin Feng's eyes flashed. Instantly, 2 rays of origin of light fell on the armor. The other ray turned into the image of a white crane on his left hand. White crane glimmer. His left hand transformed into a blade in the air. Although Lin Feng's attack was slower by a beat, the speed of the white crane glimmer was extremely shocking. Pong! Bang! The 2 forces instantly clashed. Shi Yun and Lin Feng couldn't dodge in time. The 2 of them let out a muffled groan as they were blasted back. Lin Feng's armor on the left side of his abdomen was completely caved in. Fortunately, the origin of light had been integrated into it, so it was not broken. On the armor, the sun was shining. It was one of the treasures that Lin Feng had exchanged 2 first-class military medals for. It was a heaven-rank perfect holy treasure, the Rising Sun armor. Even so, Shi Yun's palm strike carried a hidden force that penetrated deep into his abdomen. Previously, Lin Feng did not know about it, but ever since he cultivated the 4 absolutes of the Thousand Knife Art, he understood this extremely powerful power. The saber had the saber heart, the sword had the sword heart, and the palm had the palm. Formless yet powerful. Lin Feng was injured, but so was Shi Yun. She completely did not expect Lin Feng's reaction to be like this. A normal martial artist would have dodged or blocked, but Lin Feng did the opposite. He met the attack with attack, and his white soft armor was stained with blood. Lin Feng's white crane glimmer was not only an auxiliary profound meaning, it was also an offensive profound meaning. In the first exchange, no one had the upper hand. What a fast reaction. Young Master Jianyu sighed. He is very confident in his attack speed. Madame Ming praised. A normal martial artist would be able to react in time. But Shi Yun's palm strike was even faster. Before the attack could reach her opponent, she had already sent him flying. It was impossible for him to be injured. He is confident, not only his attack speed. Li Lang's eyes brightened. There is also his control of the origin of light. Controlling two sources of light at the same time, including the first attack, is equivalent to controlling 2.5 sources of light at the same time. Many 10,000 years old martial artists are unable to do so. Seems like we have all underestimated him. Young Master Jianyu sighed. Li Lang nodded. I'm afraid Shi Yun is in trouble. Shi Yun knew without the three warlord martial artists saying anything. She had already stopped underestimating him. She clenched her teeth and swallowed a mouthful of blood. Shi Yun's steps were like an inch. Every step she took was like teleportation. The meridians of the earth under her feet expanded. Shi Yun's attack came again. Douyu 18 hands, cannon fire. With a muffled sound, Shi Yun's fists were like cannons. The power was transmitted in a straight line. This move was even stronger than the Qi rush just now. Under normal circumstances, a martial artist would naturally avoid the attacks, but Lin Feng did the opposite. The white crane's glimmer increased in speed, and the new devouring the heavens, which also possessed tyrannical attacking power, was blasted out. Using absolute strength to fight, just like the previous move, Lin Feng was at a disadvantage. With a muffled groan, Lin Feng was repelled again. The power of the cannon fire hit his chest, causing his internal organs to churn violently. However, the true Dragon Saint power maintained the balance in his body. The light origin consumed the invisible fist power as much as possible. The vortex body was already good at dissipating the force. Now, the vortex body was even better at defense and recovery. On the other hand, Shi Yun's defense was not as good. Shi Yun did not want to lose the initiative. Although she was injured, she still attacked. Under the cover of the meridians of the earth, Shi Yun's attacks came wave after wave. She had the absolute initiative. However, Lin Feng's counterattacks were not afraid. Although he consumed more energy than Shi Yun every time, Lin Feng used his best advantage. Exhaustion, whether it was the light origin or the recovery ability of his body, he was better than Shi Yun. Glory's Sanctuary. Go Shi Yun. Yes, that's it. Take advantage of the situation and defeat this brat from the 7 alliances. Haha, he's too weak. She had the absolute upper hand. Every time Shi Yun attacked, Lin Feng was repelled. The warriors of the Miracle Garden cheered for Shi Yun. However, as time passed, the excitement from before gradually disappeared. Everyone stared with wide eyes. Lin Feng had not been defeated yet. The most terrifying thing was that Shi Yun, who had the upper hand, looked more seriously injured than Lin Feng. What happened? Such a cunning brat. Young Master Jianyu narrowed his eyes and admired him. He's like a hunter luring his prey. He gives them benefits time and time again, but he has other plans. Madame Parrot could see through it, but Shi Yun could not see through it. Every time she attacked, she would injure her opponent. The hope of victory was close at hand, so how could she withdraw? But what Shi Yun didn't know was that there was an invisible moat that was right in front of her. It's about time. Lin Feng adjusted his breath. Although he had the light heart that was 20 times stronger, the consumption of the light origin was not small. Shi Yun's use of the heart's strength had benefited him greatly. Her Earth Meridian realm contained the 8 trigrams intent, which was very helpful for him to comprehend the consecutive trigrams absolute. She was a respectable and powerful opponent. However, there could only be one winner. Peng. Lin Feng's eyes flashed. A strong and powerful energy spread from the bottom of his heart and gathered in his body. Divine patterns appeared one after another, and a shocking power quickly rose with a wild aura. Lin Feng's sudden change shocked all the spectators. Vortex Light Body. To be continued. Chapter 9:15. This was Lin Feng's first time using the Vortex Light Body. He knew very well that it was impossible to defeat Shi Yun unscathed. At least, he couldn't do it now. Divine patterns appeared as if they were the center of light. Lin Feng's Vortex Light Body turned from 3 layers to 9 layers. The intense light condensed, making the light core's aura different. Bang! Almost instantly, the Vortex Light Body broke Shi Yun's earth veins. Power Realm, Level 3 Limit. Sizzle, the spiraling patterns were destroyed by the endless light energy. The 2 auras were equally matched. Shi Yun wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth and looked at Lin Feng with a complicated expression. She didn't expect to meet an opponent like Lin Feng after the Ji Xinling. She thought that the second place was already in the bag, but now she was nervous. Whoosh, Shi Yun's aura changed instantly. She, who had consumed a great deal of her earth origin energy, could no longer hide her strength. Her petite body turned into a series of afterimages, and with a violent shake, an astonishing power rose behind her. It was a lifelike giant deer, its pair of antlers as lofty as a boulder. As Shi Yun's aura rose, this invisible power turned into a heavy energy with her as the center, protecting her. Deer, play defense. Is it my turn? Seeing that Shi Yun didn't have any intention to attack, Lin Feng smiled and attacked. In fact, he didn't stop attacking from the beginning. Defense couldn't win a battle. The attacker usually had the advantage. Lin Feng, who grew up in battles, knew this very well. Slayer Demon streaked across the sky. The powerful light core's energy covered it, and the power of the sea breaker increased by another level. The white crane glimmer pushed its speed to the extreme. The essence of the light speed Dao was in this blade. However, the way Lin Feng's blade fell was extremely awkward. Every inch of space in the air seemed to be distorted, and waves of invisible energy thinned out the attack power. Shi Yun's hand shadows danced swiftly, and the deer playing Imperial Dao vividly displayed the word Imperial. Defense. Shi Yun finally used a real power. Even though the defense was impenetrable, although the attack was weakened by a lot, how could Lin Feng's powerful strike be completely blocked? Some of the force still landed on Shi Yun's body. Bang! Shi Yun brandished her fists like antlers, roaring and clashing. Defense. Counterattack. This was how Shi Yun defeated Ji Xinling. Haha, Shi Yun's trump card is out. The highest level of defense, the Dao of deer play. Lin Feng is going to suffer this time. That's it. Kill him. Try harder. Shi Yun. In terms of defense, no one in the ranking competition could compare with her. Lin Feng grunted. Fortunately, he had the Rising Sun armor and the Origin of Light to block the attack, so he was not seriously injured. Looking at the motionless Shi Yun in front of them, she was like the most tightly guarded fortress in the world. It was enough to make people tremble and shrink back at the sight of her. But he was Lin Feng. He would never be defeated by failures and setbacks. With a deep roar, a half-human, half-beast monster appeared behind Lin Feng. Although it was not as imposing as Shi Yun's deer elephant, it had a domineering aura. It was invincible. The white crane under him screamed and exploded at the fastest speed. The power of the Demon Slayer's saber increased sharply. Thousand Knife Art, Beast Extinction, a head-on collision. Lin Feng was not afraid of Shi Yun's Dao of deer play at all. He did not use any tricks to break it. Lin Feng clearly knew how profound Shi Yun's technique was after practicing the consecutive divination art. He could not break it with his current ability. If Shi Yun's earth pattern was the first layer of defense, then the Dao of deer play was the second layer of defense. As steady as Mount Tai. But it could move mountains. Boom! Lin Feng felt the weakening of his power. But this time, the weakening was much less than that of the new sea-breaking technique. As he expected, Shi Yun could only withstand a limited amount of weakening power. The key was Shi Yun herself. She was injured. She had consumed a lot of energy in the previous battle. Using strength as a skill, great skill appears to be clumsy. Lin Feng was forced to retreat. His internal organs were churning violently. Even the rising sun armor had holes, which aroused his fighting spirit. He attacked Shi Yun again and again, showing his fighting spirit in the most direct way. Boom, boom, boom. In the glory sanctuary, the experts were suffocating. Lin Feng did not know fatigue. He attacked again and again, and the deer elephant behind Shi Yun became dimmer and dimmer. No matter how strong the defense was, there would be a time when it would collapse. Shi Yun was exhausted from the previous battle. Under Lin Feng's unreasonable attacks, she finally reached her limit. Bang! The beast extinction tore apart the deer elephant. Shi Yun fell heavily to the ground. Her little face was devoid of blood. She looked up at the sky with lonely eyes. I've lost. Defeated. Shi Yun's defeat caused a stir in the glory sanctuary. In a battle with such a large disparity in strength, there was this kind of dark horse. It was hard to believe. The champion of the Glory 3 Alliance preliminaries, the successor of the Five-Bird sect, the second-place Shi Yun with 5 wins and 1 loss, had lost like this. There was no trick. Lin Feng had truly won. He used his absolute strength to tell everyone that being able to stand here, being in second place, was not because of luck. Sir Lin Feng has won. He won too beautifully. Sir Lin Feng is so strong. Handsome. The Glory 7 Alliance exploded. Even He Jin, Wei Xin Yuan, and Yuan Shuang were overjoyed. They knew Shi Yun's strength, but Lin Feng had defeated her. It could be said that he had given the Miracle Gardens warriors a heavy slap in the face, telling them that the Glory 7 Alliance's warriors were not weak. The Chaos team was filled with joy, throwing themselves into a celebration. This victory was too important for the Glory 7 Alliance. It was too exciting. Their morale was raised. Glory's sanctuary. Shi Yun's loss was not unjust. Young Master Jinyu praised. Right, the two of them did not attack the enemy's weak points. Rather, they brought out their strongest points. Li Lang said, this kind of battle was the most intense, and it was the easiest to see each other's trump cards. It could be considered a pure contest of strength, and it could be seen that the two of them had absolute confidence in their strength. But the one laughing in the end was Lin Feng. Lin Feng only has 1 match left, right? Madame Parrot said. Young Master Jinyu nodded. Xian Ling has withdrawn. Lin Feng has 6 days to rest. The final match will be against Lei Huolia. Madame Parrot's beautiful eyes shined. Lin Feng has 6 wins and 1 loss. Adding in Xian Ling, it's 7 wins and 1 loss. Even if Lei Huolia won all his matches, if he loses the final match, Lei Huolia will not lose. Li Lang shook his head. Lin Feng's current strength is only a bit higher than Shi Yun's, and Shi Yun's battle strength is a level lower than Lei Huolia's. She is very clear on this point, so she gave up the first match without any hesitation. Adding in the fact that Lin Feng's injuries are not light, and he won't be able to recover in 6 days, his chances of winning against Lei Huolia, it won't exceed 5%. Chapter 958. Boom, boom, boom. The uranium energy balls exploded wildly, destroying the energy of the XX defense system. The nuclear bomb commander laughed wildly, as if he was in a real combat practice. Especially when he saw the terrified faces in the elemental territory, it made him feel even better. He had been sulking for too long. Outside, he was suppressed by Lin Feng to the point that he couldn't move. In M country, he had to obey Dr. Jin's orders. In name, he was the strongest person in M country, the strongest commander, but no one knew the bitterness in his heart. Even now, he couldn't help himself. His wild laughter was more to hide the fear in his heart. He remembered seeing Lin Feng in the Neptune realm. He was a terrifying existence who could withstand the power of the heavens by himself. If he was still alive, then the nuclear bomb commander's heart trembled and a chill ran down his spine. He knew clearly the difference between his strength and Lin Feng's. The difference was like heaven and earth. If Lin Feng wanted to kill him, it would be no different from squashing an ant. He couldn't resist at all. Bang, bang, bang. The nuclear bomb commander's heart beat inexplicably faster. He frowned and showed a trace of ruthlessness. Boom, boom, boom. Every attack was so solid, just as the nuclear bomb commander felt at the moment. Suddenly, whoosh, a white light suddenly appeared. It was a streak of light that was extremely fast. Its speed had reached an unimaginable level, and the image of a white crane behind it could be clearly seen. The uranium energy ball instantly blasted onto its body, but it couldn't get close at all. It was easily dissolved by an invisible energy. Lin Feng, the nuclear bomb commander's face changed drastically. Although it was a meeting of enemies, when the enemy's strength was far beyond his own, it wasn't jealousy, but trembling. Swoosh! Lin Feng's eyes widened. The power of the true Dragon Star, which was level 8 of the 10,000 years stage, was terrifying. Lin Feng didn't use any illusion. Just the deterrence of his mind made the nuclear bomb commander's face turn pale. He was trapped and couldn't move at all. At this time, the nuclear bomb commander was like a piece of meat on a chopping board. The difference in strength was too great. In the elemental territory, Alliance leader Lin Shang has returned, Huang Tianqi said happily. Just in time, Lin Zhan smiled. Wen Jing didn't say anything. It was her duty to quickly repair the XX defense system. However, when she glanced at the screen from the corner of her eyes, Wen Jing's back straightened even more, and her beautiful face that had been tense all this time relaxed a lot. To every Chinese, the king of Huaxia was their spiritual pillar. As long as the pillar didn't fall, they had the confidence to face any difficulties. Faith was very important. Haha, what nuclear bomb commander? You're just a worm that bullies the kind and fears the evil. Look at his embarrassing appearance. The #1 expert of country? Bah, you're too weak. You don't even have the courage to attack our king of Huaxia. Show off again. If you have the ability, attack our defense system again. Everyone also vented to their heart's content. They were already at odds with country, not to mention being trampled on. Now that the king of Huaxia was here, it was their turn to hold their heads high. Bang! Lin Feng did not say another word and directly threw out a punch. The nuclear bomb commander, who was 5 meters tall, was directly sent flying by Lin Feng, who couldn't even reach his chest. One punch caused him to see stars, and blood flowed out profusely. The cyborg armor on his body directly shattered. As the nuclear bomb commander wailed, another thunderous attack came from behind. Bang! Lin Feng directly kicked back. With his speed, the nuclear bomb commander didn't even have the right to talk to him. The nuclear bomb commander, who was sent flying again, spat out blood. His expression was extremely shocked. At this moment, he realized how big the gap between him and Lin Feng was. Bang! Lin Feng directly kicked the nuclear bomb commander down to the ground. Ha! The XX defense system instantly bounced back, and the nuclear bomb commander, who was already in a daze, was sent flying. But this time, Lin Feng didn't add insult to injury. Instead, he floated in midair and quietly looked at the nuclear bomb commander, who was beaten up like a drowning dog. To Lin Feng, the nuclear bomb commander's life was in his hands. To take it or not, it was only a matter of thought. The elemental territory was filled with cheers and excitement for Lin Feng's dominance. Beating up the nuclear bomb commander like this was the best way to vent their anger. But what was surprising was that Lin Feng seemed to only want to teach the nuclear bomb commander a lesson and not take his life. Just like the nuclear bomb commander didn't really want to attack Huaxia, Lin Feng knew very well that with country's technological level, the gyroscopic missiles that could quickly condense an artificial atmosphere and strange cyclones that could use the energy of the Bermuda Triangle to break through the XX defense system outside the elemental territory was a piece of cake. As you wish, I'm here. Lin Feng looked down and said to the nuclear bomb commander. The nuclear bomb commander was already scared out of his wits. He trembled and said, How did you know? Tell me, what's your purpose? Lin Feng went straight to the point. The nuclear bomb commander's teeth were bleeding, and his words were a bit unclear. I'm just here to deliver the order. Dr. Jean wants to see you. Dr. Jean, Lin Feng was surprised and smiled. Why should I see him? The nuclear bomb commander said. Dr. Jean said that you must see him. Oh, Lin Feng was curious. Because he can save the Earth. The nuclear bomb commander's words were shocking. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. There was a moment of silence. Lin Feng looked at the nuclear bomb commander with a complicated expression. Without much hesitation, he grabbed the nuclear bomb commander and said, "Let's go. Take me to see him." Whoosh! Lin Feng's speed exploded to the extreme. In just a moment, he arrived above the Pacific Ocean, where the Bermuda Triangle was now located. In front of him was turbulent waves that were about to drown the land. The violent sea wind whistled and made the nuclear bomb commander widen his eyes and open his mouth in horror. He had arrived? This speed was too terrifying. Aye. The nuclear bomb commander was a little stunned for a moment. Let's go to Sea City. Lin Feng didn't want to waste any time. Every second he wasted was a second of danger to the Earth. The danger level had reached an extremely high level. Lin Feng grabbed the nuclear bomb commander and directly penetrated the sea like an arrow, going deep into Sea City. Pa! The defense of Sea City was like an empty shell. Lin Feng entered. Lin Feng instantly felt a strong energy fluctuation. Although he was far away, he could still feel the collision of souls. It wasn't an attack, but a kind of communication, or rather, a call. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat, and his figure flashed. Is this the place? Lin Feng came to the sea god's domain. Yes, the nuclear bomb commander said submissively. Lin Feng looked at the nuclear bomb commander and saw his expression. He had a general understanding in his heart, so he nodded and entered. The magnetic aurora of the sea god's domain didn't stop him at all. Lin Feng went straight and suddenly felt a strong force pulling him. The vision ahead became brighter and brighter. Tomorrow, I will accompany my wife to the hospital. Today, there are 2 chapters. Chapter 959, Pyramid. Lin Feng was slightly stunned. At the center of the sea god's realm, a crystal pyramid was glowing with a flawless light. It was a completely different form of energy from the pyramids of Egypt. The surface of the crystal was flawless, as if it had been created with the most perfect technology. The most amazing thing was that its existence was like the pillar of the Poseidon realm, supporting the entire sea city with its ultimate energy release. It wasn't a protective energy, but an active release. Haha, King of Huaxia, please excuse me for not welcoming you. Laughter sounded, and the ripples in the water space in front of him twisted, and a man with blonde hair and glasses appeared. He was wearing a light blue suit and had a seemingly warm smile. His appearance immediately attracted Lin Feng's attention. His facial profile didn't look like someone from M country, but more like Asian or mixed race, but his blonde hair looked like a European. It was very special, but the most special thing was that he couldn't see through him. Dr. Jean, Lin Feng showed a vigilant look. The man with blonde hair and glasses in front of him was quite complicated. Dr. Jean smiled and nodded. He moved his fingers with a smile, and the nuclear bomb commander on the side immediately retreated. Although it was only a small scene, it was enough to explain a lot. Lin Feng saw it and was surprised, but he didn't say it out loud. First of all, thank you for your help, Dr. Jean, for helping Earth escape a disaster for the time being. Seeing the crystal pyramid and Dr. Jean himself, Lin Feng was now very sure that he was the one who released the gyroscopic missile to form the artificial atmosphere and swept away the diamond asteroid with a cyclone. The surrounding space seemed to be locked, and the energy released by the pyramid was like a barrier, and the pressure within it doubled. Lin Feng was secretly shocked. He might have come here for a Hongmin banquet, but for the sake of Earth, he had to come. It's nothing. Dr. Jean smiled and said, the king of Huaxiao risked his life to protect Earth, not for the sake of the monk, but for the sake of the Buddha. I naturally have to lend a hand. There was a knife hidden in the smile. Lin Feng clearly understood the meaning behind Professor Kim's words. First of all, he was hinting to him that this ability was nothing to him. Secondly, he knew what he was doing. What he was doing was not to protect Earth, but to do him a favor. Since Dr. Jean is so straightforward, I'll be frank. Lin Feng said, Professor Jean, please save Earth. Earth is in danger now, and it could explode at any time. There's no hurry. There are still 7 days and 5 hours before the Earth explodes, Dr. Jean said. What? Lin Feng was stunned. Professor Jean smiled and said, 7 days is a long time. Actually, in my opinion, there is no need to waste so much energy to save Earth and save some ants with limited lifespans. With the king of Huaxia's strength, he can travel around the universe. There is no need to do so. Furthermore, the migration to Mars is sufficient for humans to reproduce smoothly. With the human race's rate of reproduction, in less than 10,000 years, they will definitely occupy the entire solar system. One less Earth is just one less planet. Lin Feng looked at Professor Jean. The other party's casual words weren't wrong. However, he was certain that he would not abandon Earth and the Huaxia humans because Earth was his root. The Huaxia humans had the same blood as him. Speak. What are your conditions? Lin Feng said in a deep voice. Everything that Professor Jean said was just to raise the price. In exchange for the 10,000 origin mustard stone, Professor Jean tapped the air. His blue eyes glowed. Lin Feng was shocked. He didn't expect Professor Jean to know about the 10,000 origin mustard stone. Their eyes met. Lin Feng remained silent. The corner of Professor Jin's mouth curled up. In an instant, the white mist in his blue eyes condensed and changed like a code. It was extremely demonic. Out of nowhere, a water curtain appeared in front of him. It lit up. Whoosh! The light lit up, and an image appeared on the water screen. Lin Feng was shocked. In the image, the diamond asteroid was falling. He held his sword and faced it head-on like a moth to a flame. As the light gathered, the image on the water screen was magnified bit by bit. The field of view changed according to his figure. Although it wasn't as clear as when he saw it with his own eyes, he could see the red light flashing and him being swallowed by the energy of the mustard stone. Actually, I've been puzzled for a long time. The 10,000 Genesis Cosmoball that I lured here didn't have the 10,000 Genesis mustard stone. It was only when I looked at the entire process that I realized that I had accidentally hit the jackpot and allowed you to take advantage of it. Professor Jean shrugged helplessly. I won't hide it from you. I was the one who attracted the 10,000 origin Cosmoball, and I paid a great price. The 10,000 origin mustard stone is very useful to me. I hope you can return it to its rightful owner. I will definitely reward you well, including saving Earth. Professor Jean smiled kindly and said, I heard that the Huaxia people value friendship and promises the most. Is that true, King of Huaxia? Lin Feng pursed his lips and didn't say anything. He wouldn't be swayed by the other party's words. There was more to this. But right now, everything was being said by Professor Jean alone. The sea god's domain was silent. Dr. Jean maintained his gentlemanly smile and waited patiently. Lin Feng was also quickly thinking of countermeasures. For him, every step was critical. It was related to himself, to Earth, and more importantly, to Yuan, whom he had just met, and to the venerable Wan Yuan who had asked him for help. He really wanted to save Earth, but some things couldn't be done recklessly. I understand what you mean, Lin Feng finally said after a long time. Please give me some time. I will come to you again after I have made a decision. It was impossible to make an accurate judgment in this kind of environment and pressure. Lin Feng wasn't an impulsive and reckless person. There was still time. There were still 7 days and 5 hours until Earth exploded. He didn't doubt Professor Jin's words in this regard. There was no need for him to use this to deceive him. Oh, Professor Jin's smile disappeared in an instant, and a bright light flashed in his blue eyes. Then he smiled again. Since the king of Huaxia still has doubts, I won't force you. Please. As soon as he finished speaking, ripples appeared in the sea god's domain, and an exit appeared. Is 3 days enough? Yes. Lin Feng nodded and left the sea god's domain. 3 days was enough for him to think clearly. Lin Feng naturally wouldn't delay until the last moment to make a decision. That would cause too much damage. After leaving the sea god's domain and returning to the sky above the Pacific Ocean, Lin Feng looked at the mysterious ocean city below. It was built with the crystal pyramid as the source and existed in the Bermuda Triangle space. It was like a true holy sight that was perfectly displayed. It was awe-inspiring. Professor Jean, he's not a human from Earth, Lin Feng thought to himself. The feeling and pressure he gave him was terrifying. 10,000 Origin Universe Ball, 10,000 Origin Mustard Stone. Lin Feng's eyes flashed. He still had many questions in his heart. The 10,000 Origin Mustard Stone involved too many things. He couldn't jump to conclusions. 3 days. Chapter 960. From Lin Feng's point of view, Earth and the people of Huaxiao were worth protecting with his life. No matter the price, he was willing to pay. However, the 10,000 Origin Mustard Stone was not just about him. It was also about the Mustard Stone life form, Yuan, and the trust of the 10,000 Yuan Venerable. Yuan had said very clearly that the 10,000 Yuan Venerable's divine sense outside the 10,000 Origin Mustard Stone was enough to wipe out the divine sense of the black hole. Because of his trust, the 10,000 Yuan Venerable gave up his divine sense in exchange for him to enter the 10,000 Origin Mustard Stone. If he gave the 10,000 Origin Mustard Stone to Professor Jean today, it would be tantamount to betrayal. How could he do such a drastic thing? It was a dilemma. There will always be a perfect plan. Lin Feng nodded and relaxed. Then, he disappeared from the Pacific Ocean. He returned to the elemental territory. After being missing for half a month, Lin Feng knew that his family would be worried about him, especially Ling Er. Lin Feng had always felt guilty towards Ling Er. From the time they started dating until now, although they were engaged, he didn't spend much time with her. Instead, he made her worry more. And his sister, mother, brother. He was not only the king of Huaxia, but he was also the pillar of support for his family. Ling Er, if it were you, between righteousness and benevolence, which would you choose? Lin Feng asked. Oh, Xiaoling said softly, I don't know. Lin Feng smiled. This kind of question was like a mother and wife falling into the water. Who would he save first? There was no answer. Big brother Lin, are you confused? Xiaoling was very understanding. Lin Feng nodded. Xiaoling smiled. You'll know if you ask your own heart. Big brother Lin, didn't you comprehend self-cultivation? Follow your own heart. All he wanted to do was to have a clear conscience in everything he did and pass this trial. Yes. Lin Feng smiled and hugged Xiaoling. There was no need for words between them. They felt a deep sense of happiness. Whoosh, Lin Feng's consciousness entered the mustard stone space again. He would not run away. Facing the problem was the best way to solve it. He did not need to follow the rules set by Professor Jean. Just like how his mother and wife fell into the water at the same time, what he wanted to do was to take care of both. If he could save both of them, why not? Why must he choose? If it's a swimming pool, can't he just drain all the water? Find the root of the problem and solve it. That was the most crucial moment. Yuan, can Earth be saved? Lin Feng went straight to the point. Of course we can save him, but Yuan said doubtfully, is it necessary? Yes, Lin Feng said firmly. The red, oval-shaped blood particles flashed. After pondering for a long time, Yuan said, saving a broken star is a piece of cake, let alone a planet. But even if I know the method, you don't have the materials or the skills. Lin Feng frowned. There are as many planets in the universe as there are hairs on a cow. The technological level of you humans on Earth is indeed not that great. But it shouldn't be difficult to change the planet's environment. Yuan said, why should we waste time and effort to save a planet that is on the verge of exploding? Every day, who knows how many planets die and how many planets are born in the universe? Lin Feng interrupted. Tell me the method. There is no method. Yuan said sincerely, to save a dying planet, only a level 3 space civilization or a technological civilization among the galactic civilizations can do it. A galactic civilization. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. In other words, to find a way, he had to go to a galactic civilization? Wait, true Dragon Black Domain. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. His teacher's true Dragon Black Domain had a large number of planetary and stellar civilizations. With the existence of a galactic civilization, it was completely possible. Although Chang had said that Earth was independent, even if it was not controlled, but it was worth a try. No matter what, Chong was definitely easier to talk to than Professor Jean. He did as he thought. Lin Feng did not hesitate. 3 days passed in the blink of an eye. He could delay Earth, but he could not. Returning to the capital, Lin Feng entered the Great Wall of Saint remains to find Senior Brother Xinyuan. Senior Brother Xinyuan was the inheritor. He was much more familiar with the true Dragon Black domain than he was, so he naturally understood and could empathize with him. After all, the current third generation of humans had the same blood as Senior Brother Xinyuan. Earth. It was also Senior Brother Xuanyuan's hometown. However, I'm sorry, 32nd Junior Brother. I have no choice. Ji Xinyuan sighed. Why? Lin Feng's heart shook. Ji Xinyuan said, this is the rules set by Chong. Stellar-level space civilizations can only enter level 2 space civilizations, and galactic-level space civilizations can only enter level 3 space civilizations. Although my combat power has barely reached the galactic-level standard, my power level is still at the peak of the superstellar stage, level 9 star level. Level 3 space civilizations are still unable to enter. And even if we enter level 3 space civilizations, it is too difficult to obtain such advanced technology in just 3 days. Schwa instantly. It was as if a basin of cold water had been poured, extinguishing Lin Feng's flame of hope. Then Chong. Lin Feng asked. Ji Xinyuan said, other than the inheritor and disciple recruitment, Chong will not appear at any other time. No matter how much you shout, it will be useless. For the past 4,700 years, I have basically been alone. Occasionally, I would go to a stellar-level space civilization to explore. Before you came, the number of times I spoke to Chong can be counted with 2 hands. Lin Feng was unwilling to accept this. He tried to call Chong, but just as Senior Brother Xinyuan said, Chong ignored all these trivial matters. Life and death are predestined. 32nd Junior Brother, just do your best. Ji Xinyuan comforted him. Although Earth is important, at least part of us Chinese humans have migrated to Mars. Our bloodline is connected, and in less than 1,000 years, the glory of our race will be restored. I understand. Lin Feng sighed. Understanding was one thing, but the specifics were another. There were many lives in the elemental territory. How could he bear to see them die? How could he bear to see his hometown being destroyed and explode in front of him? How could he bear to not be able to save them when he clearly had the ability to? Could he do it? In the mustard stone space. Yuan, what do you think the identity of this Professor Jean is? Lin Feng asked. I'm not sure. He could be a human, a transformed demon, a machine, or a dragon. There are too many possibilities. Yuan said. There's so many races in the vast universe. The human race alone has hundreds of millions of branches with different bloodlines. Lin Feng frowned slightly. But from her description, there are few things that can be confirmed, Yuan said. Lin Feng listened carefully, and his eyes lit up. First, he must be from a technological civilization because the crystal pyramid you described is the power source of a technological civilization, the core of the Bermuda Triangle. If he can use it, it means that he is proficient in the technology of a technological civilization. These are abilities that a power civilization does not have. Lin Feng nodded. The technology of the sea god realm was far from what Earth's technology could compare to. Chapter 9, 61. Secondly, the 10,000 Origins cosmic ball was indeed attracted by a force. It's most likely this bastard's doing. Yuan's voice was still a little indignant. Lin Feng could completely understand. He had been living well in the 10,000 Origins mustard stone and had the protection of Venerable One Yuan's divine sense. It could have been said that he was impregnable and had no worries. Soon, he would have reached the peak of 10,000 universe epochs. But now, not only had he lost the protection of his divine sense, but he had also gained a master. He had complete control over the 10,000 Origins mustard stone. Anyone would feel uncomfortable, let alone the fact that he was far from being recognized by Yuan. Because of this, he could not agree to Dr. Jin's request. To a certain extent, Yuan was the true master of the 10,000 Origins mustard stone. He was only connected to the mustard stone by chance and had venerable Wan Yuan's hopes. It did not mean that he could decide the ownership of the 10,000 origins mustard stone at will. There's a question that I haven't figured out, Lin Feng suddenly said. Lin Feng said, if Dr. Jean really has the ability to control the Bermuda Triangle, why didn't he attack me directly? He did not think that Dr. Jean was kind and gentle. A master who had controlled Nation for many years was definitely not a soft-hearted person. He had already come into contact with him once. It's very simple. He's not your match, Yi Yuan said. Oh, Lin Feng was slightly surprised. Yi Yuan said, the masters of technological civilizations are in control of technology. They can control interstellar battleships and easily destroy a planet or even a star. But it doesn't mean that they are strong individually. Take humans from technological civilizations, for example. In terms of personal cultivation, they are at most powerful because of their soul of talent. Do you remember what I told you about the 10,000 origins mustard stone? Yi Yuan joked. Lin Feng suddenly understood. The 10,000 origin mustard stone was stationed in his sea of knowledge and guarded his soul tightly. Even a black hole-level powerhouse would not be able to harm him in the slightest. And he should only be able to use a small part of the Bermuda Triangle's power, Yi Yuan continued. Why do you say that? Lin Feng was very curious. It's very simple. If the Bermuda Triangle is the power that summoned the 10,000 Genesis cosmic sphere, then it's at least a black hole-level technological civilization. For a civilization of this level, searching Earth is just a matter of the blink of an eye. There's no need to send that commander to the elemental territory to lure you out. Lin Feng nodded. Yi Yuan's words made sense. Moreover, he was completely unconscious at that time. It was a great opportunity for Dr. Jean to make a move. With Earth's planet-level technology, they could quickly search most of Earth's visible range. Not to mention black hole-level technology. That was the power of galactic-level technology. Compared to Earth's technology, it was more than 3 grades. I understand, Lin Feng said. Yi Yuan was indeed experienced and knowledgeable. If I'm not wrong, he probably wants to use the 10,000 origin mustard stone to completely control the Bermuda Triangle. Yi Yuan muttered, judging from the spatial transfer technology, the Bermuda Triangle is completely out of energy. If we only rely on the pyramid to absorb it with the energy level of the Earth, it is just a drop in the bucket. Spatial transfer technology. Lin Feng knew that it was the cyclone that swept away the 10,000 origin cosmic ball. Energy. Yes, no matter how strong a technological civilization was, it could not be separated from the word energy, just like the energy of a power civilization. The stronger the energy in the universe, the higher the efficiency of a martial artist's cultivation. For a technological civilization, energy was the foundation of everything. Galactic civilizations had galactic energy, and black hole civilizations had black hole energy. Even if Dr. Jean had a lot of technology, he could not cook without rice. He was sitting on a treasure mountain, but he could not move it. No wonder he was so polite to him and did not take it by force. It was not that he did not want to, but that he could not. Lin Feng's doubts disappeared in an instant. The current situation was clear and transparent, but the most fundamental problem was still not solved. There were less than 6 days left before Earth's estimated time of explosion. The only one who could save Earth was Dr. Jean. Even if he found out about his background, what could he do? Use force to subdue him and force him to save Earth. Whether he could do it was still a question. Even if he could, Dr. Jean was likely to stumble. Or negotiate with him again. Lin Feng was deep in thought. The more he knew, the more confident he would be. However, Dr. Jean had to be on guard. If he was given enough energy, he might reveal his true colors and explode with ambition. He would use the Bermuda Triangle to control everything on Earth. According to Yi Yuan, the Bermuda Triangle was a product of a black hole-level technological civilization. It would be easy for him to control Earth. Giving him the 10,000 origin mustard stone was very risky. At that time, he would lose his value and be at his mercy. The consequences would be unimaginable. Phew! Lin Feng looked worried. The decision at hand was very important, and it was difficult to make. Sigh. Yi Yuan sighed in his mind. Fine. I'm afraid of you. I'll help you this time. Otherwise, I'm afraid you'll sell me out for some righteous cause." His honest words shocked Lin Feng, and he was overjoyed. "Yuan, you have a way?" "No," Yuan said. "We mustard stone life forms worship absolute power. Of course, we don't have that kind of technology." Lin Feng frowned. He didn't understand. Yuan continued. "You can only save Earth by yourself, but I can help you delay and stabilize the time of Earth's explosion." "Really?" Lin Feng's eyes narrowed. "What's so difficult about that?" Yuan said casually. "The reason why planets explode is because of energy. When the energy of a star core is exhausted, it will begin to shrink and collapse due to its own weight. Just take a piece of Ian crystal to maintain the energy required by the star core, and you could delay Earth's lifespan for a while. Because Earth is now in a state of fragmentation, its energy consumption is quite large. Therefore, the utilization rate of energy is very low. It's quite wasteful." Ewan mumbled. "There are as many planets in the universe as there are hairs on a cow. Ordinary planets aren't even worth mentioning. Even life-bearing planets are only worth 1 or 2 stars at most. Hey, Lin Feng, wait, don't take out 8 or 9 stars." Neptune realm. Dressed in a blue suit, Professor Jin's blue eyes were extremely demonic. His fingers tapped on the table, and his expression was uncertain. As the 3-day deadline with Lin Feng approached, Professor Jin knew that the possibility of completing the deal was getting smaller and smaller. Suddenly, Professor Jin's expression turned cold. A light appeared on the water screen in front of him. Lin Feng's figure appeared on the screen. He was deep inside Earth's star core. In his hand, a blue, diamond-like object could be clearly seen, flashing with an unusual blue light. 5-star Ian crystal. Professor Jin gritted his teeth and suppressed his anger. His eyes were fierce. Bang, bang, bang. The utensils in the Neptune realm shattered. Professor Jin's expression was cold. Very good, very good. Chapter 962. Since he had made a decision, Lin Feng didn't hesitate. He didn't care how valuable the universe crystal was, because in his heart, Earth and the humans of China couldn't be measured in terms of value. A 5-star universe crystal fused into the star core and turned into the pure energy of Earth to support the energy needs of the star core. Although Earth was now in a state of fragmentation, the energy consumption was quite huge and the energy utilization rate was very low. It couldn't withstand the enormous energy of the 5-star universe crystal. According to Yuan, it was no problem to maintain it for 3 to 5 years. However, it was a bit of a waste. I'm now level 6 stellar level, the nirvana stage of the greater stellar level. To save Earth, I first have to cross the life-breaking stage of the superstellar level and become a cosmic level powerhouse. Otherwise, I won't be able to establish myself in a cosmic level civilization, let alone find a way to save Earth. Strength was the deciding factor. Lin Feng knew very well. Like the wind, Lin Feng was extremely fast and arrived above the Pacific Ocean in the blink of an eye. His goal was clear, but before that, he had to do one thing first. Take care of Dr. Jin, a thorny opponent, an ambitious schemer hiding under the wings of Country M. Lin Feng was not a soft-hearted person. He knew very well the consequences of letting Dr. Jin go, and it was definitely unimaginable, especially now that Dr. Jin was in control of the 10,000 Genesis Universe Ball. The 10,000 Genesis Universe Ball was slowly gathered by the 10,000 Genesis Mustard Stone during its long journey. Like a mineral vein, the deepest part of the vein was the most essential part, and there would be some coarse ores and associated minerals outside. There were many 1-star and 2-star universe crystals outside the 10,000 Genesis Universe Ball, and there were 3-star and 4-star universe crystals in the depths, which were also rare and precious resources. Lin Feng naturally wouldn't let Dr. Jin get it. Boom! Lin Feng directly broke through the roaring waves of the Pacific Ocean. He entered. Whoosh, the golden dragon roared like a dragon swimming in the sea, and the true dragon holy power protected him. Lin Feng went straight to the bottom where he sensed. The huge 10,000 Genesis Universe Ball couldn't hide it all, and he had fused with the 10,000 Genesis Mustard Stone. The call of his heart was incomparably clear. Down below, there was a vast array of dozens of silverlight robots made from strange materials that were digging for Ian crystals. Even a one-star universe crystal was at the level of a large star, surpassing the St. Crystal of the Nemo star. Even M Country's strongest nuclear bomb commander couldn't damage it in the slightest. However, Dr. Jean, who had the technology of the Bermuda Triangle, was indeed extraordinary. Dozens of Silverlight robots worked together, although the efficiency was not high. At the very least, he would be able to retrieve the Ian crystal. If Professor Jean was given enough time, he would be able to obtain a massive amount of Ian crystals. He would be able to control even more Silverlight robots and use other methods to obtain Ian crystals even faster. This would form a positive cycle. But now, Zheng, Lin Feng did not hesitate at all. The Demon Slayer's saber flashed with light, and the saber slashed down like a meteor. Dozens of Silverlight robots couldn't resist at all, and they instantly shattered into pieces. A dozen or so one-star universe crystals fell down, and there seemed to be a pair of invisible hands in the void. He instantly collected all the Ian crystals. 10,000 Genesis cosmic sphere. Lin Feng's eyes shone brightly. He stretched out his right hand, and a red light flickered in his palm. The 10,000 Genesis mustard stone was like a huge magnet. Suddenly, the 10,000 Genesis cosmic sphere, which was 1/3 the size of the moon, was sucked into it. In the first place, the two were one. Whoosh! Lin Feng broke through the water surface. Bermuda Triangle. The newly built Sea City welcomed an uninvited guest, Lin Feng. Holding the Demon Slayer saber in his hand, Lin Feng's expression was serious. He had always liked to cut the weeds and eliminate the roots. Now that the Great Extinction was over, M Country would always be a threat to China, not to mention the existence of Dr. Jean behind them. He would not be soft-hearted if he had to get rid of them. But oh, Lin Feng's eyes shone. The current Sea City was different from before. There was no protective shield, and there was no vitality. As if it had exhausted its energy, the door was wide open. Empty city strategy? What tricks are you playing? Lin Feng was bold. He was completely fearless and directly descended. The saber light exploded. It was indeed very unexpected. Not only did Sea City have no defenses, but even the Sea God's domain in the center of Sea City had no defenses. Dr. Jean seemed to have surrendered and did not resist at all. Passing through the space corridor, Lin Feng stepped into the center of the Sea God's domain, where the crystal pyramid was. In front of the crystal pyramid, Dr. Jean was wearing a dyed suit. His eyes were shining under his golden glasses, and there was a faint smile on his face. "You're here?" Dr. Jean said. "Yes," Lin Feng replied. His gaze swept around, and the golden dragon behind him roared. It was very vigilant. "I've heard that the Chinese value friendship and righteousness. I've finally learned it." Dr. Jean chuckled and said, "I helped you save Earth out of kindness, but I didn't expect you to repay my kindness with ingratitude." Lin Feng also smiled. "It depends on who you're talking to. If you're talking to the enemy, then you're stupid. What a good saying. To the enemy is to be stupid." Dr. Jean adjusted his glasses. "This is the second time you and I have met. There's no hatred between us. Why must we fight to the death? Can't we sit down and have a good talk and get along peacefully?" Dr. Jean spread his hands and smiled. "Look, I have no hostility towards you. I even removed the defense of the Sea God's domain. That's because you know that it's just a waste of energy to set up the defense," Lin Feng said. He had seen the defense of the Sea God's domain. It was not very strong. It was not difficult for him to break it with his strength. Dr. Jean smiled and looked at Lin Feng. He paused and said, "Is there no room for reconciliation between you and me? There's a saying in Huaxia, 2 tigers can't live on the same mountain," Lin Feng said. They looked at each other, and their eyes were sharp. For Lin Feng, Dr. Jean was a potential bomb that could explode at any time. When that time came, not only would he be harmed, but also the entire Huaxia and Earth. Being kind to the enemy was being cruel to oneself. Lin Feng had known this since he was very young. "Actually, I'm really willing to be friends with you," Dr. Jean said. You're the strongest human on Earth. Not only are you strong, but you're also very smart. If we can work together, it will be a win-win situation. Unfortunately, there are no ifs, Lin Feng said. Dr. Jean was not surprised. He smiled and adjusted his glasses. Do you want to guess how I'll save my life? His movements were elegant, and Dr. Jin's expression was calm. He did not have the panic or fear of someone who was about to die. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. He focused his gaze. He seemed to have underestimated him. It was impossible for someone as smart as him not to have a backup plan. And what he was afraid of was Earth. Lin Feng's expression changed. The current Earth was like a broken piece of porcelain that would shatter completely with the slightest touch. Dr. Jean had the ability to save Earth, but he also had the ability to destroy it. Looks like you've guessed it. Dr. Jean smiled. I told you that you're very smart. Then can we sit down and talk now? Chapter 963. I can kill you before you detonate the Earth. Lin Feng's eyes flashed with murderous intent. If you are confident, why are you talking nonsense with me? Professor Jean smiled. You don't dare to take the risk because you can't bear the consequences of losing. They were testing each other. Clang! The true dragon holy power covered him, and a heavenly eye pattern appeared on the golden dragon. Professor Jean was still smiling. He didn't care. Virtual image. Lin Feng's sensing ability was very strong now. Of course, I have to guard against you. I don't want to fight to the death. Professor Jean smiled. Lin Feng's eyes skipped over Dr. Kim and looked straight at the crystal pyramid behind him. His intuition told him that Dr. Kim's real body was hidden in the crystal pyramid, but there was nothing he could do now. If he insisted on attacking the crystal pyramid, he would only force Dr. Kim to do something desperate. Just as he said, he didn't dare to take the risk because he couldn't bear the consequences of losing. Although he thought so, Lin Feng didn't show it. He knew very well that the two of them were fighting secretly. If he took a step back, he would fall into a deep abyss. With Professor Jin's cunning, as long as he showed the slightest intention of backing down, Professor Jin would take advantage of him and not let him go. Okay, as long as you don't do anything secretly, I won't kill you. Lin Feng's expression was cold. We don't interfere with each other, but if you do anything secretly, don't blame me for being ruthless. I'm innocent. When did I do anything secretly? Professor Jean said. If you want to talk about it, I've helped you a lot. First, it was the man-made atmosphere during the mass extinction. Then, it was the destructive impact of the cosmic ball of 10,000 origins. I saved the Earth twice. Lin Feng narrowed his eyes. Thank you very much. Then, he didn't say anything else. He had said what he needed to say. He turned and left. Professor Jean was left behind. His eyes were shining, and a meaningful smile appeared on his lips. Lin Feng knew Professor Jean very well. He also didn't want the Earth to explode and be destroyed. Otherwise, he wouldn't have helped twice during the mass extinction. The Earth's explosion didn't benefit him at all. So as long as he didn't force him into a corner, he wouldn't do something that harmed others without benefiting himself. But with his character, he would definitely not be willing to be controlled by others. He would definitely make a move. While I was unconscious for half a month, Professor Jean had already mined quite a few one-star universe crystals. Lin Feng thought to himself. Even though what Professor Jean had mined was just a drop in the ocean compared to the billions of Ian crystals, it could still provide the Bermuda Triangle with a lot of energy. These sources of energy would become a huge variable. That included Professor Kim hiding in the Crystal Pyramid. It would be very difficult for him to kill Professor Kim. Crystal Pyramid. A crafty rabbit has 3 burrows. With Professor Jin's cautiousness, he would have arranged everything. He would not allow himself to be in danger. With the protection of the Crystal Pyramid, there was at least shelter for now. A hint of anger flashed through the blue eyes. To Dr. Kim, being threatened by a lowly human was a great humiliation. However, what infuriated him the most was that not only had he failed to obtain the 10,000 origin mustard stone, he had even lost the 10,000 origin cosmic ball. This time, it could be said that he went for wool and came home shorn. He did not expect Lin Feng to be so ruthless. He had completely misjudged the people of Huaxia. Mind our own business? Hee hee. Laughing coldly, Professor Jin's blue eyes flashed with white light. Instantly, a series of codes appeared. Although the energy of a one-star Ian crystal was not enough to power the Bermuda Triangle, it could already use some functions. For example, Milky Way communication. Z, Z, Z. The image in front of him flickered like waves and gradually became clear. A man who looked very similar to Professor Jean appeared. He was wearing a gray suit, white glasses, and slightly thicker eyebrows. His eyebrows were slightly raised, and he looked stronger and more experienced. Father, Professor Jean bowed. Songer, are you okay? The man in the gray suit asked. Professor Jin's eyes flashed with surprise. He said, I'm fine now. Father is very considerate. The man in the gray suit nodded. It's good that you are fine. Where are you now? Earth, in a star system called the solar system. Professor Jean said, previously, I mistakenly entered the dark matter channel, so I understand. Wait a moment. Let me confirm the universe coordinates. The man in the gray suit had a deep voice. A blue light flashed in his eyes, and he finished calculating almost instantly. 5 light years away. However, outside your universe coordinates, there are very strong shadows of war and universe turbulence. I'm afraid you can't enter directly. Shadows of war. Universe turbulence? Professor Jean realized. That's right. There should have been a fierce war here before. Oh. The man in the gray suit's eyes lit up. Professor Jean said, not only are there treasures left from the war here, but the Earth I am on is also the highest standard 9-star life planet in the universe. What? The man in the gray suit's eyes widened, and his body trembled uncontrollably. 9-star life planet. Yes, Father. Professor Jean said. The man in the gray suit breathed heavily. Wait here. I will immediately get how to prepare a spaceship to enter the dark matter channel. I refuse, Father. Professor Jin's expression was indifferent. The man in the gray suit was stunned. So, what did you say? Professor Jean revealed a faint smile. Promise me 2 conditions, Father. Otherwise, you won't be able to get my location. You will never be able to find the solar system in the dark matter channel. Unless you want to enter the shadows of war and fall into the universe turbulence. The man in the gray suit's expression changed. He said in a low voice, Speak. First, remove my brother Jean Hao and appoint me as the successor of the family leader. Professor Jin's eyes flashed coldly. Do you know what you were saying? The man in the gray suit's voice was cold. Professor Jean sneered. He is heartless, and I am unrighteous. Father, you should know what happened that day, right? The man in the gray suit was silent. After a long time, the man in the gray suit raised his head and said, the second condition. He didn't reject it, which was equivalent to a silent agreement. Professor Jean revealed a knowing smile. Second, I want 20% of the Earth profits. That's a bit high. The man in the gray suit said unhappily. I'm only asking for more protection, Father. Professor Jean said, when I inherit the family leader position in the future, these treasures and resources will also belong to the family. It's just a matter of the left hand and the right hand. Just this noble 9-star life planet will allow our family to be valued by the Black Wolf Gene Empire. Our family's power will increase greatly. The man in the gray suit nodded and looked at him with admiration. Very good. Like father, like son. These 2 conditions are very reasonable. I agree. Thank you, Father. Professor Jin's eyes lit up. To him, it was naturally good to be able to take the entire piece of cheese for himself. However, if he couldn't, then there was no point in holding on. Getting 20% of the profits was not bad. At least, he didn't need to take any risks. Furthermore, no one knew about the biggest profit. Lin Feng, 10,000 origin mustard rock. Professor Jean sneered. Soon, I will let you know what a cosmic system state power is. To be continued. Chapter 964. Mind their own business? Lin Feng wasn't naive enough to think that Dr. Jean would listen to him obediently. How could an expert from an alien civilization be willing to be suppressed by him on Earth? Not to mention that he knew too much. Not only was he ambitious, but he was also capable. Dr. Jean was like a bomb that could explode at any time. His departure was only to lower Dr. Jin's guard. It didn't mean that he had given up. Now it's time to see who's faster. Lin Feng flashed across the Pacific Ocean like a ghost. In the blink of an eye, he had arrived at Beijing. To him, Earth was as big as his back garden. He could come and go as he pleased. Entering the area guarded by the Great Wall of Saints, Lin Feng's eyes flashed. Race against time. Everyone was competing for time, entering the sacred site. Lin Feng quickly found Brother Xianyuan and told him his intentions. So you mean? Ji Xianyuan was deep in thought. I need spaceships, a large number of spaceships. Lin Feng looked straight at Brother Xianyuan. Every extra second means an extra minute of change. I don't know anything about Dr. Jean, but he knows me and the entire Earth like the back of his hand. This is very dangerous. Who knows, he might be able to activate the Bermuda Triangle soon. Who knows, he might even find helpers. So, I need to prepare spaceships as soon as possible and transport all the Chinese humans away from the elemental territory. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. His only constraint was the Chinese humans in the elemental territory. As for the other sacred sites, he didn't need to worry. Even if Earth exploded, it wouldn't break the protection of the Great Wall of Saints. As long as he could transport the Chinese humans away from the elemental territory, he would be able to unleash his power and directly take the Bermuda Triangle. Threat? Everyone was eliminating threats. Lin Feng was very clear that Dr. Jean must be thinking of ways to get rid of him, using various methods. I understand. Ji Xianyuan nodded. If it's just spaceships, it shouldn't be a problem. How about this? You're not familiar with the true Dragon Black domain. I'll help you take a trip. I've stayed in Enchantment for 300 years. I'm very familiar with the place. With my relationship with Enchantment, I believe that it won't be a problem to buy a batch of ordinary spaceships in a short time. Ordinary? Lin Feng was stunned. Ji Xianyuan smiled and said, spaceship technology is the precious property of every technological civilization, and it will not be easily leaked. Don't worry. After all, Inkagwa is a space civilization with an energy level of 2.9. Even though their normal spaceships can't enter the dark matter channel, they can still fly between planets. Earth's technology can't compare to theirs. Lin Feng chuckled. He couldn't use Earth's perspective to look at a stellar-level technological civilization. How long will it take? Lin Feng asked. About half a month. Ji Xianyuan muttered. Thank you, Brother Xianyuan, Lin Feng said gratefully. If he had acted on his own, he wouldn't have been able to kill Xianyuan. Just exploring would take a long time, especially when entering a completely unfamiliar planet. Fortunately, he had already passed all 3 tests and had become his teacher's official disciple. Naturally, he would be able to enjoy his privileges. Lin Feng wasn't idle either. Although the Great Extinction had passed, Earth's crisis had yet to be resolved. On one hand, Earth's energy was tight, and they could only rely on the energy of universe crystals to barely survive. On the other hand, Professor Jean controlled the Bermuda Triangle, and it was like a thorn in their backs, making it difficult for them to sleep and eat in peace. Strength. He needed to be strong enough. Only then could he protect Huaxia and save Earth. 1-star universe crystal. Lin Feng looked at the blue crystal in his hand and carefully sensed it. When the 10,000 Genesis universe sphere fell, he had split open a 1-star universe crystal. This was a perfect crystal that contained the energy of a universe. The energy purity of a 1-star universe crystal surpassed the Saint crystals of Nemo planet, about the level of Nirvana ascension. It didn't seem like much, but the diameter of the 10,000 Genesis universe sphere was 1/3 of the moon's diameter. Its surface was completely covered in 1-star universe crystals, more than 1 billion of them. What was truly terrifying was that the universe crystals with the 10,000 Genesis mustard stone as the source would accumulate energy over time. It would transform. At this time, the surface of the 10,000 Genesis universe sphere also had a considerable amount of 2-star universe crystals. The amount was about 1/10 of a 1-star universe crystal. Further in, there were 3-star universe crystals, 4-star universe crystals, and so on. A true primordial mustard stone life form was slowly nourished by the 10,000 Genesis mustard stone mother. It evolved from a 1-star universe crystal to a 9-star universe crystal and finally into a 10,000 Genesis stone essence. Trapezoidal pyramid structure. Lin Feng knew the 10,000 Genesis universe sphere like the back of his hand. If the 10,000 Genesis mustard stone was its brain, then the 10,000 Genesis universe sphere was its body. Especially now, the 10,000 Genesis universe sphere was more useful to him than the 10,000 Genesis mustard stone. 1-star universe crystals were no longer of much help to him, so there was no need to drain the pond to catch all the fish. The bottom of a trapezoidal pyramid structure was crucial. What was truly useful to him now was 2-star universe crystals. Lin Feng didn't need to mine them like Professor Jean. The 10,000 Genesis universe sphere was a part of his body and could be obtained at will. The energy purity of a 2-star universe crystal far surpassed that of a 1-star universe crystal. It had reached the level of 10,000 lifespan energy, which was equivalent to a super eternal week. It was comparable to a 4-corner origin crystal. Unlike certain origin crystals, this was formed from the purest universe energy through the 10,000 Genesis mustard stone. It was the source of all kinds of energy. Not only could it transform into the purest light source, but it could also transform into the purest darkness source and thunder source. As for the true dragon saint force and the innate soul, it didn't need to be deliberately cultivated. With the nourishment of the 10,000 origin mustard stone, it had reached the 10,000 lifespan stage in a short time and was only a step away from heaven glimpse. Absorb. Lin Feng didn't care about the wastage of the 2-star universe crystal. No matter how valuable it was, he couldn't sell it now. Moreover, although the number of 2-star universe crystals wasn't as terrifying as 1-star universe crystals, it was still more than 100 million. If he were to absorb it alone, it would be like scooping water from a sea. It would be impossible to finish it. Whoosh, whoosh, in the origin star realm, the light core crazily absorbed and reached the maximum cultivation speed. The light core's horsepower was fully activated, and the cultivation speed was astonishing, especially since the energy of a universe crystal was extremely pure. It was perfectly absorbed by the body. Not only was the absorption speed fast, but the assimilation speed was even faster. The remote Tai star soared at a terrifying speed. On the first day, it reached the 5th level of Nirvana stage. On the second day, it reached the 6th level of Nirvana stage. On the third day, Peng. Lin Feng's eyes shone brightly as he condensed power in his body. The remote Tai star transformed once again and reached the 8th level of Nirvana stage. The astonishing energy of the 2-star universe crystal allowed him to transform in just half a month. Although it was only the accumulation of strength, it saved Lin Feng a lot of time and energy as his cultivation realm and strength far surpassed the Nirvana stage. It's time. Lin Feng ended his cultivation and entered the Great Wall of Saint Remains. Senior brother Xin Yuan should be back soon. To be continued. Chapter 965. The Great Wall of the Sacred Relic. Take it, 32nd brother. Ji Xinyuan smiled and tossed a storage ring to him. Lin Feng took it and sent his consciousness into the storage ring. He saw everything in an instant. Spaceships that were dozens of times the size of ordinary passenger planes were parked there. The front was spiral-shaped, the wings were retracted, and the tail was powered by a turbine-like energy. The dark fuselage gave off a mysterious feeling. These are 1,000 Inca 25 series spaceships. Each one can carry 33,000 people and reach a maximum speed of 5,000 times the speed of sound. Ji Xinyuan introduced. 5,000 times the speed of sound. Lin Feng took a deep breath and was shocked. The most widely used spaceship on Earth was the Mars Immigration Series 1. It was the largest spaceship and carried the most people. Its maximum speed was 10 times the speed of sound, and it would take about a year and a half to reach Mars. Even so, the number of people carried was not as many as it. 5,000 times the speed of sound. In other words, it would only take 29 hours to reach Mars. It was terrifying. 1,000 spaceships carrying 33,000 people each time. A round trip can transport as many as 33 million people in 2.5 days. In other words, it can transport more than 10 million people from Huaxia every day. Lin Feng nodded in satisfaction. This was undoubtedly a big surprise. The threat that troubled him disappeared in an instant. It was as if the cliff behind him had been filled, and he no longer had to worry about Professor Kim's outburst. Once all the Huaxia people in the elemental territory migrated away, even if Earth exploded, it would not change anything. The most important thing now was, is there enough energy? Lin Feng asked. Ji Xinyuan smiled and nodded. Each spaceship can fly for 3 years. More than enough. The technology and energy of the top technological civilization of a star was incomparable to Earth. Lin Feng relaxed and looked at Brother Xinyuan. I really don't know how to thank you, Brother Xinyuan. The value of these 1,000 spaceships. Okay, there's no need for this between brothers. Ji Xinyuan said. Go, Earth needs you. Okay, brother. Lin Feng smiled. There was no need to thank him. He just had to remember it. It would be pretentious if he said too much. After learning how to operate the Inca 25 series, Lin Feng quickly left the sacred relic. He returned to the elemental domain. One by one, the monster-like Inca 25 series spaceships descended, causing Huang Tian and the others to stare with their mouths agape. They were overwhelmed with shock, but they had no idea where Lin Feng had gotten these big toys from. On the contrary, Wen Jing's interest was the greatest. She touched here and there, studying it. Huang Tian, Lin Feng said. Here, Huang Tian replied. You're in charge of the migration to Mars. Announce the plan and arrange the number of people, Lin Feng instructed. Don't disturb the order of the elemental territory, understand? Yes. Alliance Master Lin Shang. Huang Tian quickly took action. Wen Jing, Lin Feng said. Wen Jing turned around. You and Big Brother will be in charge of selecting the pilot and co-pilot of the spaceship. 1 day later, I will teach you. You will learn together, Lin Feng said. Okay, Wen Jing replied. Lin Zhan looked at Lin Feng. Are you prepared to deal with him? Lin Feng nodded. When I have nothing to worry about, I will go straight in and eliminate him. Lin Zhan nodded. Be careful. I know you have the confidence to win, but Professor Jean is very cunning. I'm afraid he won't be easy to deal with. Even if he's not easy to deal with, we still have to deal with him. With him on Earth, I won't be able to eat or sleep in peace, Lin Feng said. Living in the same room as a wolf was a very scary thing, especially when you didn't know how many trump cards he had yet to reveal. Yes, he's definitely not a good person, Lin Zhan said. Their eyes met. The two brothers didn't need to say anything. They already understood each other. Good luck. Their fists collided. Don't worry, brother. Lin Feng was very confident. Lin Feng didn't slack off either. He spent an entire day trying out Inca's 25 series spaceship, testing it nonstop. He tested its performance. It had to be said that although this was only an ordinary spaceship, its performance was very good. It had its own air circulation system and liquid water. Food and so on could completely support long-distance flight. Although its speed reached 5,000 times the speed of sound, when it really flew, it couldn't be felt at all. There weren't even any undulations. Earth's spaceship was like a baby that just learned how to crawl in front of it. Change. Lin Feng waved his hand. He removed all the seats from Inca 25 spaceship and placed a huge partition at 1/3 of the spaceship's height. They weren't enjoying themselves now. They were racing against time. Hence, they had to make full use of the space in Inca 25 spaceship. Removing the seats, if everyone stood next to each other, they could at least carry 150% more people. It could even reach 200% more people. The spaceship's height was 3 meters, and the partition was 2 meters high. It could allow the people below to stand upright, and it could also allow the people above to sit or lie down. The number of people could also increase by 80% to 120%. Every spaceship can carry around 100,000 more people, Wen Jing reported. Lin Feng nodded in satisfaction. Originally, the spaceship could only carry 33,000 people. Now, it could carry more than 130,000 people. This was enough to increase the efficiency by 3 times. 1,000 Ku-25 series spaceships would take less than 2.5 days for a round trip, and they would be able to transport more than 100 million people from China. The efficiency was quite amazing. In less than 2 months, all the Huaxiao people in the elemental territory will leave Earth and step onto Mars, Lin Feng said. At that time, he would have no more worries. The Bermuda Triangle. This kid is really not easy to deal with. Lin Feng's every move couldn't escape Dr. Jin's lock. As long as he wanted, he could know everything that happened on Earth, not to mention such a large scale in the elemental territory. Professor Jin had guessed that Lin Feng would not let the matter rest so easily. Both of them were trying to eliminate the most threatening aspect of themselves. Father has been in the dark matter channel for more than 10 days, but the distance of 5 light years is too big. No matter how the dark matter channel changes, it can't be done overnight. It naturally won't take 9.5 years. If we're lucky, it will take 1.5 years. If we're unlucky, it may take 6 or 7 years. The dark matter channel was filled with a large amount of dark matter. It was the other side of the universe. Here, the universe space would constantly change, and it was difficult to distinguish direction. The absolute speed could exceed the speed of light in the normal universe. 5,000 times the speed of sound. Dr. Jin could accurately estimate. There wasn't much time left. He clearly knew the meaning of Lin Feng's move. It was to catch a turtle in a jar and make it impossible for him to hide. But how could it be so easy? You want to kill me? Professor Jin sneered. You don't have the qualifications. To be continued. Chapter 966. Earth entered a short period of peace. Although the natural disasters were still there and the aftermath of the extinction was very serious, at least it was safe. Earth's real-time data also stabilized above average. It was like a person who had been ill for a long time. Although it couldn't be cured, it didn't worsen. Many warriors left the sacred remains guard and wandered the barren land after the disaster, because they were surprised to find that everything was different. Spirit energy was everywhere. Earth's current situation was very similar to the rebirth after the 6th extinction. The pros and cons complemented each other. Although the danger was high, especially when the elemental beasts in the ocean appeared on land, they brought more resources and opportunities. Reclamation. 1 month later. 9th level Nirvana. Lin Feng ended his cultivation. The endless supply of 2-star universe crystals allowed his strength to rapidly increase, allowing him to maintain the limit of his cultivation speed. However, the further he reached the Nirvana realm, the slower his cultivation speed became. Especially from the 9th level of the Nirvana realm to the Grand Nirvana realm, with his current speed, it will take about 3 months. Lin Feng was very clear. As for the Grand Nirvana, it wasn't a test for the current him, especially since his soul had already broken through the limit. His body's endurance, bloodline potential, and the most important part of the Grand Nirvana was the acknowledgement of the origin energy. He had already obtained everything. The origin star realm had been opened, and the origin sea had been sensed. As long as the remote Tai star reached the limit, the Grand Nirvana would be a matter of course. However, the benefits, the increase in strength will be considerable. Lin Feng was looking forward to it. Other things aside, just the increase in the level of life would cause a qualitative change in his perception of the origin energy. Of the 6 paths of light, I have already comprehended the light path, the light speed path, and the light heart 20 times. With the vortex light body connected to the light origin sea, my perception of the light origin is comparable to an ordinary 10,000-year-old powerhouse who has crossed the Grand Nirvana stage. Although it is easier to comprehend the other great paths of light after the Grand Nirvana stage, but the benefits of comprehending them now are greater. The great path of light was the essence of the origin energy. It was the power of a true superstar powerhouse. What Lin Feng wanted now wasn't just the level of strength, but also the combat power. Moreover, once he comprehended the 3rd great Tao of light, The heart of light in the origin star realm would increase by another 10 times, reaching a total of 30 times. This would mean that his cultivation speed would be reduced by a third. 3 months would be reduced to 2 months, so why not? But now, there is something more important. The migration to Mars should be in full swing, Lin Feng said to himself. Very soon, he would fill up the cliff behind him and have no more worries. The number of Huaxia humans in the elemental territory was decreasing. The Inku 25 spaceship, which originated from a stellar-level technological civilization, constantly shuttled between Earth and Mars, truly realizing the transfer between the planets. It only took 58 hours for a round trip, which was enough to make the scientists on Earth gasp in amazement. Where's Wenjing? Lin Feng sneered. Reporting to the King of China, Manager 1 is modifying the universe ship. Deputy Manager Yi Hui reported. Improve the spaceship? Lin Feng was shocked. What else needs to be improved on the Inku 25 series spaceship? Deputy Manager Yi Hui said, That's not the case. Manager 1 has been studying the structure of Inku 25 spaceship for the past month, its power source, anti-magnetic field, etc. 2 days ago, the modified spaceship from Earth has already broken through 2,000 times the speed of sound. Whoosh! Lin Feng's eyes lit up. Deputy Manager Yi Hui smiled. Don't be surprised, King of China. You don't know Manager 1's special ability. She is very good at analyzing and decoding technology. She was the one who decoded Elemental City's facial blood vessels. I believe Manager 1 will be able to decipher the secrets of the Inku 25 series spaceship very soon. Lin Feng nodded. It was very difficult to decipher technology because it was already fused together. Just like the blade technique, it was very powerful to be able to completely imitate the blade intent just by looking at the blade technique. But if the blade technique realm was far from the blade technique, it could still be decoded. That was terrifying. Earth is really full of talents. Lin Feng praised in his heart. He didn't disturb Wenjing's decoding. Because Lin Feng knew that it was like cultivation, it wasn't easy to interrupt and start again. Deputy Manager Yi Hui was in charge of the defense system. Huang Tianhe was in charge of the migration to Mars, so they didn't need Wenjing for now. It was better to let her do what she was best at and improve Earth's technology level. Wenjing is good at decoding simulations, and Shengran is good at strength research. They complement each other well. Lin Feng said, Technology was divided into literature and martial arts. Literature included spaceships, defense facilities, energy absorption, atmosphere creation, and so on. Martial arts included genetic research, strength equipment, elemental martial arts, and so on. According to E. Yuan, humans are the most omnipotent and mediocre race in the universe. They could develop in any aspect because human intelligence, comprehension, and creativity were all extraordinary. At present, Earth did not need to categorize them into any particular category. It would be fine if they progressed step by step on the normal path of development. Just like now, there were talents with outstanding aptitude in science and technology, such as Wenjing and Sun Shengren, as well as martial artists with outstanding strength, such as himself and Blood Shadow. The future of Earth and the future of Huaxia should also be like this. Steady development had the greatest opportunity. Based on the current situation, the elemental territory will be cleared in a few days, Huang Tian said. How are things on Mars? Lin Feng asked. Everything is normal. With the leaders of the Korean Business Association supporting the overall situation, there aren't many problems. It's just that too many people have migrated in a short period of time, so the resources on Mars are a little tight. However, after this period of time, everything will return to normal, Huang Tian said. Lin Feng nodded. This wasn't a big problem. After all, most of the people migrating to Mars were ordinary Huaxia people. They wouldn't change the original structure of Mars. Are there martial artists in the business association who aren't willing to leave? Lin Feng asked. Huang Tian smiled. The spirit energy outside is 100 times better than before. Any martial artist with ambition wants to take this opportunity to improve their strength and change their destiny. There was a hint of envy in his words. Huang Tian was also a person with outstanding talent. His ability to rise on earth was enough to show his talent. However, he had important matters to attend to now and couldn't wander around casually. I know what you've done. When the elemental territory is over, you'll receive the rewards you deserve. Lin Feng smiled and patted Huang Tian's shoulder. The latter's worry instantly turned to joy. He wasn't stupid and could understand the meaning behind Lin Feng's words. He immediately said, "Thank you, King of Huaxia." Lin Feng smiled and nodded. He couldn't mistreat the people around him. "That's right, Alliance Master Lin Shang. Martial Justice asked me to pass something to you. He said that you'll definitely be interested," Huang Tian suddenly said. "Oh," Lin Feng was surprised. To be continued. Chapter 967. This is... Lin Feng's eyes lit up. There was a thick book in front of him. It was like a volcano that had been sealed for many years, but there were no signs of wear and tear. Ma Shu. His handwriting was as smooth as water, but it was rather textured, thick, and heavy. Holy Scripture, Ma Shu. Lin Feng was overjoyed. At the top of the book was the image of Shiva. He had 3 eyes and 4 arms, and there was a slit of the heavenly eye on his forehead. His long hair flowed like water, and his body seemed to be illusory. Just by looking at him, one could see his blood flowing like water. It contained the ultimate secrets of water. The 7th Holy Scripture. This was the 7th Holy Scripture that he couldn't find on Earth. He didn't expect it to appear just like that. The 7th key to the reincarnation passage of the Shiva sect. "Where did you find this?" Lin Feng asked. "A wild level being picked it up outside Krakatoa Volcano," Huang Tian said. At that time, Krakatoa Volcano was erupting, but he saw an object that looked like a book shoot out from the flames. He was shocked, and when the eruption ended, he quickly put away the book, which then fell into the hands of the Marshal of Justice. So that was it. Lin Feng immediately understood. As the key to the holy site, the Holy Scripture couldn't be destroyed. At least, it couldn't be destroyed by planetary state power. No wonder he couldn't find it before. It turned out that the Holy Scripture Mashu was hidden in the volcano. This time, it came out by itself due to the eruption. It was a coincidence. Volcano, bottom of the sea, abyss. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. Many places that couldn't be explored before had changed due to the changes in Earth's crust. It was as if Earth had turned around and poured out all the hidden things. Earth didn't just have spirit chi everywhere. There were also many undetectable treasures. "Is there any news about the 8th Holy Scripture?" Lin Feng asked. "Not yet." Huang Tian shook his head. The Shiva sect temple had a total of 8 Holy Scriptures. 8 keys. Lin Feng knew the use of a divine ruin. Each divine ruin represented a cosmic system state power. Even the top treasures of a Nemo planet could not compare to it. For example, the Sky Garden, which was ranked last among the 7 great sacred sites, had only activated its teleportation function and the Sky Tower's talent's sole holy power. It was already quite impressive. The Saint Temple of Shiva's sect was ranked above the Sky Garden. If he could find the 8th Holy Grimoire, then he might be able to unravel the true secret of the holy site. Inform the marshal immediately and announce to all Huaxia martial artists in my name. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. "I'll buy the 8th Holy Scripture at a high price. You will be heavily rewarded." His voice made Huang Tian's heart beat faster. If other people said this, it wouldn't be a big deal. But if it came from Huaxia Peak, it would be heavily rewarded. "How precious." "Yes, Alliance leader Lin Shang," Huang Tian replied. In the cultivation room, Lin Feng was well aware of his own aptitude. Among the 6 great Daos of light, the Holy Light Dao and the Light Speed Dao had the best aptitude. Facts had proven that it was the easiest for these 2 to obtain the recognition of the light origin source. The second was the Light Dao and the Halo Dao, followed by the Light Dao and the Light Dao. The goal of this comprehension was the Light Dao and the Halo Dao. The Light Dao belongs to the attack category. Single attack and group attack are the purest attacks. Lin Feng was very clear. For example, the various types of laser weapons in the technological civilization originated from the Light Dao. Technology and power actually had a lot in common to a certain extent. It was just that the way they were expressed was different. The Halo Dao, also known as the Halo Dao, is the defense and support category. Lin Feng was deep in thought. The Light Dao was to strengthen his strengths and maximize his attacks. The Halo Dao was to make up for his weaknesses. He didn't need to worry too much about which one to choose, because currently he only had 4 types of perfect, profound meaning of light. The Light Dao, the Holy Light. The Light Dao, the White Crane Light. The Light Dao, 7 arrows. The Light Dao, the Sun Yen. Although he had already passed Ho's test and became his master's true disciple, the second successor, allowing him to freely enter and exit the Great Wall of the Saint Ruins, and even the true Dragon Black domain, he was still unable to obtain his master's treasures. According to senior brother Xin Yuan, he needed to become a true successor and stay in the Great Wall of the Saint Ruins like him. As for the second successor, it meant that once senior brother Xin Yuan passed the 3 tribulations and 3 lives path and left the true Dragon Black domain, he would have to enter the Great Wall of the Saint Remains and become the new successor, no matter how unwilling he was. Of course, now that he had junior brother Xiangyu, if he was willing, he could replace him as the successor. The Light Dao, 7 arrows. That's it. Lin Feng didn't care about the secret scriptures. No matter how many perfect, profound meanings he had, he could only cultivate one at a time. Moreover, he now had the 10,000 origin mustard stone, which saved him a lot of time. Vortex Light Body. Almost instantly, Lin Feng felt the existence of the origin sea while the divine inscriptions were still blooming. How can it be so fast? Lin Feng was slightly startled, but he didn't think too much about it. His consciousness instantly entered the origin sea of light. It contained endless power. Immersing in it, he instantly felt the origin sea of light pouring in like a tide. The 20-fold light heart was like a transfer station, releasing the origin sea of light. A part of it merged with the origin star world, while the other part was absorbed by the calm nether source star. His cultivation speed was quite impressive. There's a big gap compared to a 2-star universe crystal. Lin Feng nodded. Immersing in the origin sea of light was his body's automatic absorption. In terms of effect, it couldn't be compared to absorbing the origin light crystal. As for the universe crystal, it was the purest energy, so his body's absorption efficiency was much higher. Even so, it was already quite good. Because the origin sea was endless, he didn't need to consume any energy. Moreover, in addition to his body's automatic absorption of the origin sea, his comprehension of profound meanings was also twice the result with half the effort. The 7 arrows scripture appeared in Lin Feng's mind. He comprehended the absolute offensive power of the Light Dao and instantly entered a state of comprehension. The Light Dao was the embodiment of the Light Dao's attack. Although the Light Dao and Light Speed Dao had successively obtained the recognition of the Light Dao, it didn't mean that the Light Dao was much easier. Although there were many similarities between the Light Dao, there were also many differences, especially the differences in the essence of light. Every great Dao of light was a new comprehension. However, whoosh, on the 7th day, endless origin sea of light rose around Lin Feng's body and jumped around cheerfully. The origin star world's light heart suddenly expanded and intensified again. The sudden change stunned Lin Feng. He didn't dare to believe it. Did he succeed? It can't be. Lin Feng felt very surprised. Comprehending the 7 arrows scripture wasn't as difficult as comprehending the white crane glimmer. On the 3rd day, he had already comprehended the profound meaning. He didn't expect to comprehend the 7 arrows scripture on the 7th day and obtain the recognition of the Light Dao. It was simply unimaginable. Something isn't right. Lin Feng's eyes flashed. To be continued.